Ladies and gentlemen, it is Zach, and it's Jesse. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
It for today. At least for right now.
For right now. Maybe Leroy will be here in a bit.
If you were listening to the show last week, Leroy's kids had a successful selling period.
Yeah.
And
which is awesome.
And both got the chance to go see a movie, so Dad took them to that. And
right.
also, they just finished up church probably about a half hour.
About that, yeah. So they would have kind of just been getting home
So Jesse
anyway.
and I are here today. Eric came down with a little something.
Yeah.
I want to open with this. People have to understand something. I love that boy. You obviously go much farther
Way
back
back
with him. Look, folks, we want to talk about DPW. We've been talking about DPW.
Right.
It's gonna be a great show.
Right.
You know. And for those of you who maybe aren't in the Northland, there is the online way to see it after we're done with it.
Correct.
And so, I mean, you're going to be able to see all the great stuff that he's doing.
Right.
And, I mean, you know, as I told him, the honor of calling the show with him is going to be what it is.
Right.
You know, before or after the show, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
The immersive experience that DPW is presenting, especially with what they're doing, because this is essentially, especially with that cool comic book thing that came out recently.
Yeah, I
prefer the blue. It actually accents a little better than
like
the red.
the two. It's basically almost like comic book designs, and they're so good. I believe they said Jessie Switter, who's kind of more of a regional artist, but does a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
It is excellent.
So
does excellent work.
But the thing for me is that when
I wonder if he's going to sell that. I mean, it's such a good piece of artwork.
It's really good. Hey, DPW graphic novel.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
A lot of bands are into that right now. A lot of bands. Well, I mean, there's so many unique stories that have been told in the world of music.
Right.
That a graphic novel almost lends itself to any musical album that you can think of, especially if you did a concept record back in the days.
Right.
And by the way, Wage War, one of sort of the older school metal bands, is going to be replacing Ginger on the upcoming tour for Slipknot.
Yeah.
Ginger looking to stay back in the Ukraine to help out with the humanitarian efforts. Ginger, fantastic band, musically, but obviously just great people.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And
they
deserve to get mentioned for that.
With the real world stuff. And by the way, we're happy to be your escape from it.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be a little stressful, but a lot of good people are trying to do good things, and they're good people.
And hard to believe that Putin could literally turn the entire world against himself, although China doesn't care. So anyway,
different topic for a different podcast.
Jesse,
yeah,
there was so much that happened this week, and people don't even know how to get to all of it. So we're gonna do our best.
Right.
Okay, let me just make something very clear. Number one, I want to start with this.
Okay.
Can you go 10 seconds and wish Jordan Grace a happy birthday and not be a creepy ass son of a bitch?
Happy birthday.
Not after that picture?
You very elegantly, technically sound young lady who just turned 26 and had a hell of a match. By the way, I mean, guys, if you're not watching Impact, it's
I was
at this point it's kind of on you.
I was actually just talking to the boys in the PWL.
Yeah,
you got to find a way to watch it. Twitch,
like
access, whatever you can do.
Twitch, YouTube. I think they are trying to get promotional out there.
Is it the best mid card in wrestling right now?
I think it's the best women's division.
Okay,
and it's definitely the best mid card. Like I said, WWE's heavyweight division, as far as this country is concerned, is pretty damn stacked.
Well, I think what people have to realize, and I've been saying this whole time, Drew is working with one of the better mid-carders in the world right now, and I think that Corbin deserves that credit.
Well, like I told, so every time someone's not in a title picture, everyone thinks they've gone back to the mid-card. I'm like, Drew is still treated like a main eventer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, him and Corbin are getting full, 5-6 minute promos.
I think we need at some point, as we get into Mania closer, which, by the way, folks, sorry that you weren't able to watch. Last night was for the Madison Square Garden people.
Right.
I understand maybe they built it up just to be Austin Theory, but did you really think Brock was going to lose unless it was Bobby, who clearly can't go?
Who clearly is going to be out the next couple of months.
And the other fact of the matter is, Jesse, Vince even said in the interview with Pat, which was phenomenal.
Listen, and people are going to have their opinions.
He said
he was so insightful.
I think Vince, that entire interview goes back to what he said of, I listen to the audience, but at the same time, I'm not, and I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Right.
I'm not part of the give it to you now culture. I'm part of the there is a story to be told that's a bigger payoff. We've said recently, especially with Charlotte recently, I think the only thing that Vince is really guilty of is he might want to wait for that payoff a little too long.
And then sometimes he goes back to things he trusts the most. But I think...
Well, we've learned recently that I think Tony's becoming much more guilty of dropping back to what he trusts more than anything.
We're going to get into that.
Oh, but God. Tony had a rough week.
Yeah. Besides the ROH announcement, everything else was really rough.
Yeah.
But because here's the thing. The interview was so insightful. I did finally get the chance to watch the full hour and a half yesterday.
Yeah.
Because this week was kind of hellacious for me. But
it was hellacious for everyone. We did not have a snowstorm. We had an ice storm.
Right.
For those of you who don't live around here, essentially what we define an ice storm as, ice is not necessarily falling from the sky.
No.
But when you wake up, everything that touches physicality
so
outside.
It does start as rain.
But
then it converts itself to sleet, and then it converts itself to snow. So then it gets really cold at night, and then underneath the little couple of inches of snow, you have like a half an inch of ice.
SpongeBob said everything was chrome in the future? Everything is literally a half inch of ice when you wake up from an ice storm.
I mean, listen, if you like shiny towns in the winter, Duluth Superior, your cities.
It's a great place to go. But anyway, Jesse, we have so much to get to.
Yeah.
I have a big thing that I want to talk about, number one, because I think you found it egregious. It's not the biggest thing to happen in wrestling for the longest time. In fact, this could end up being, based on the result, the reports that I'm hearing, this could be a detriment to one of the biggest names in professional wrestling over the last 20 years. So Tony Khan, and I want to make this clear, Daddy wrote a check for $50 million. Now, I know Tony's got his own money, but Tony's never been successful enough to just drop $50 million on a library. So it's Daddy's money. But so Tony Khan has purchased Ring of Honor.
Right.
He's purchased the library. He's purchased the likenesses. And by the way,
I will say this ahead of time for what's going to be fun for people, because I know a lot of people have asked my reaction. I told them to wait till the show.
Yeah.
I'm actually more positive on it than most people are.
No, Jesse. I think this
depending
is
on how he uses it.
Right now, I'm actually very positive on it because it will not cease to exist. Which I think was a worry.
Which is beautiful.
But I want to make things very clear. It doesn't take away from the fact that we're here to add real life context to bring people back down to
Correct.
Number one, I said wait for NXT 2.0. I was right. I said
it's a good show now.
I said wait on the NXT UK news.
Right.
They're doing just fine.
Ben, what's his name, is getting a UK championship match next week.
Yeah.
The kid that Ben something. He trained with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
It's like he's getting a title match next week.
And actually, AB Aaron from the lounge.
Yeah.
Who watches UK.
Yeah, I'm about to say I've been catching up, and I finally caught up to this week, and I'm like,
Nathan
this
Frazier
this
is
show,
his name on NXT UK, and Nathan is, I think, a much more polished version of what Tyler Black was.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think especially this early, because, when Seth first got to NXT, they did have to polish him up a little bit.
Well, I think what people have to understand is that Vince, yes, has never claimed to be a wrestling promoter, but he understands that there is still a wrestling that he has to present.
Right.
This is the form of entertainment he's chosen.
Right.
Of entertainment. The Batman. Go see it. It's fantastic.
It was phenomenal.
Already in my top 3 all-time Batmans.
It was phenomenal.
But here's the deal. I'm worried, Jesse, and I'm worried because Tony Khan, at this point, and I don't care if you love AEW, if you hate AEW, if you're down the middle with AEW, which I am more than people want to think.
Right.
It's just sad that I always don't react to their news as if it's the greatest thing to happen this week. I react to it as, okay, it happened. Let's see where they go with it.
Unfortunately, they've given me, maybe even more than WWE, which is incredible since they've only been around 4 years. Basically, every time I hear news out of them, unfortunately, I take it from a pessimistic look at it, because as that gets talked about for those who think, there's like strong AEW haters, sometimes you watch the show and you're like, there's like 4 really good things going on, and the rest, even their own fans go like, ugh.
I sent you a chart from a conversation I was having.
Right.
Jesse, they still haven't hit 1 million 4 weeks in a row. They haven't. And they're in more households.
Yeah,
We'll get to that
are.
in a second. So he buys ROH.
Yeah.
He's got the Sinclair library.
Correct.
He's got the Sinclair era library.
Correct.
And he's got the current rights to it.
Right.
Now, there are no contracted talents. That's been confirmed.
Correct.
No one is contractually talented to Ring of Honor
Correct.
currently. But all those guys are going to want to work on it. Although, I'll say this much.
Right.
I don't know how many of those established guys of Ring of Honor are going to want to work in a, quote, developmental territory, which is essentially what this is going to become.
What's going to be interesting is
dark elevation.
Right. Well, because I mean the fact that the Briscoes and Jonathan Gresham were pretty
popular. And there is no national TV in that purchase. I want to point that out.
Right.
There is no national TV in that purchase.
But
a lot of regional TV.
Right.
A lot of regional TV.
But I do believe, because it sounds like what I don't think he meant to, and I don't think it's a leak, because then Dave kind of reported on it, was the fact that, the Briscoes and Jonathan Gresham, it sounds like they would help to start the thing.
And
so people can kind of get used to what's going to become of it.
And obviously with the reports that maybe things are different with Cody.
Right.
Who knows if Cody might come back for a lesser deal. But because, Jesse, I think we're starting to learn that maybe Cody asking for Punk money, even WWE doesn't see him at Punk money. I mean,
so
it's really weird.
I think the Cody thing we'll find out more of /after Mania.
Yes. Now, I want to point out before we move on, Bayley, Asuka, Alexa. Folks, it's WrestleMania season. Their plans are set. If they come back after WrestleMania, it doesn't mean they
Asuka's
have
another one.
It doesn't mean they have nothing for them. Stop reporting that they have nothing for them when the fact is Asuka, first of all, people don't realize, Jesse, take us to the injuries that Gato will put you sidelined for. Because of the style, because of what you know how to do, it tends to put much more force on the body than people think. So when you're recovering from an injury, Asuka, because of the scars, because of the battles that she's been through, because of the beatdowns of Minoru Suzuki, the
fact that it didn't end her career was amazing.
But I mean, Jesse, Asuka is probably not ready to come back to the level that she needs to be able to do the style that she does.
And I mean, even if
she's been cleared,
and they just cleared her, I believe, a couple weeks after the Rumble.
Folks, we are 3 weeks from WrestleMania.
Right.
What are you doing saying, first of all, Alexa just got back. She did great in Elimination Chamber, but she's not involved with anything right now. And you know what? I think even at this point, you have to admit to yourself, I think if even Hogan came back at this point, finding him a match at WrestleMania,
Let's go a little lesser. Let's go Roddy.
Okay.
Because trust me, he would find a way to get Hogan on a card.
Well, but it'd be a Brock Undertaker situation.
Right.
It would have to be star.
Right.
But
mega match, kind of.
But if Roddy Strong finds a way to make it into WrestleMania within the next 3 weeks, then I think people are going to sit there and say, well, why is he in? It's like, guys, Bayley was gone for a while. She had her first ACL injury. People, look, no one may ever be Adrian Peterson again. He missed one game. In the fucking NFL. He missed one game. And by the way, he was having surgery that day, if I remember correctly. And when he was rehabbing with Sugarman at training camp, Sugarman let him go run wind sprints with the guys who were technically fully healthy. And he was beating some of them. Oh my god!
Right.
Like the man in his prime was a freak.
Some people are just athletic freaks.
Oh my god. But anyway, no, this is a huge get. I'm not saying it isn't. But Jesse, much like with everything, is he just funding the indies again? That's the fear that I have.
I will say this: what the purchase of ROH does is two things. And it was kind of interesting to hear your boy Cornette on this, but because Cornette was a part of the original run that started to build its name.
Right. When ROH really became ROH, Jim Cornette was behind the scenes trying to create that sports-based presentation.
And which is why I tell people, I'm like, I get that Cornette is a curmudgeon. But the guy does care about young wrestlers.
He does.
He really does. Sometimes you'll hear him talking, you're like, man, he's out of touch. But I'm like, he just looks at it in an old school way. But I'm like, this is the same guy I watched book old TNA, old ROH. Like the guy still knows how to build young talent.
This is also the guy that is one of the few people left who still has memory and stories of the days when 10 million people a night were watching professional wrestling, both on television and locally. So
the big thing when it comes to Ring of Honor, one, he did announce, or they did kind of announce that.
Also, seriously, can Tony put on a real shirt, maybe a suit jacket,
and not sniff cocaine before he does a promo about this? But anyway,
here's the deal. I'm the last person to say dress up because I hate dressing up.
Right.
But if you have a major announcement like that and you're supposed to come off a certain way, shut up and do it. I'm sorry. It's just
that kind of felt like he was high.
Right. Yeah. Right, yeah.
But
I think Tony Schiavone should have just done it himself. I think Tony could have just announced it. I mean, you're not paying Tony really to do anything right now except for add bad commentary
and say sting
a lot.
But otherwise, yeah. Announcing that they're going to use it for developmental, no problem with it. Because ROH was basically a pipeline for WWE, TNA for a while there, for a long time.
Yeah.
You found your way in ROH. Either Vince or what became Dixie Carter would call you, which is why there was such a big swarm of support around TNA/Impact back in the day. Mm-hmm. Because we watched that talent breathe, and then guys like Eddie Guerrero, who maybe been cut before because of drug issues or whatever. Well, guess what? They would go wrestle the Indies and also wrestle in ROH. So, like, say guys got cut from WWE. Well, guess what? You would find them in ROH.
Yeah. People forget when Eddie got cut, for the drug stuff. Basically, he still wrestled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found the books. I'll remember to bring them at some point. You got to read them because
for sure.
I don't have Eddie's yet right now. Like, again, I moved 4 or 5 years ago, but haven't looked for this stuff.
Right.
But Eddie talking about what he did in the in-between, very, very interesting to hear from that. We actually have some stuff to talk about Eddie here in a little bit, just some debate that's been on the internet that I want us to get some talk about. But no, I have nothing against Tony Barr on ROH. I think this is huge. I think it's big.
Right.
And this is worth the hype that Tony was building it up to. I'm not saying that it isn't.
And having like Jonathan Gresham as its first champion, kind of usher in the young people.
Yeah.
By the
way, Terminus 2, highly successful.
And it's basically almost, by the way, which is why the whole meme going around of, you guys say that they're anti-WWE, but this is a very WWE thing to do.
Yes. Well,
because Tommaso Ciampa was basically like a bridge to before the new big young name was going to be champion.
Which, by the way, for a guy with literally all the talent in the world to be okay with being that bridge, huge ups to him. And he made a pretty decent living for him and his family. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Revolution is tonight.
Yes, it is.
I don't care what happened at MSG. It's not going to make me want to buy this pay-per-view any goddamn more. And by the way, according to last reports, we'll get into the card here in a little bit, 11 matches. At least Vince Revolution.
Yeah.
At least Vince turned around and said, I'm going to start making the regular monthly pay-per-views a 2.5, 3 hour show. This is going to be 4 hours because...
4? You're probably looking at 5.
But Jesse, that's the thing. First of all, 2 pre-show matches. WWE's not the only pre-show in the world. And number 2, 9 matches, and they're all going to go 20 minutes. Everyone's going to get 15 minutes minimum.
That's what they do there.
So, hey, once again, we're going to check that box of, it's a WWE thing. Vince actually got away from. He stopped doing.
Certain matches only got a certain amount of time. I mean, at Mania, they try to give people their time.
Well, but that's why now it's 2 nights instead of 8 hours.
Right.
So,
which I'm like, the pandemic making them do that, especially for the bigger shows.
Yeah.
That was the one blessing because it's just like, anyway, thank you.
Jesse, ladies and gentlemen of the jury of the IWC, Internet Wrestling Community, the ratings are in for the Go Home show.
Yeah.
Didn't crack 1 million.
996,000, I believe.
966.
Yeah.
Jesse, they still have yet to hit 4 straight weeks of 1 million.
And I think Rampage, and it was funny because Rampage's part of the Go Home was better than Dynamite.
Well, you said yourself, Rampage is the show that everyone should be watching because it seems to not be touched by the people running everything.
It's a better show.
Before we get to Revolution, Jesse, your girl Big Swole spoke out again.
So I only heard parts of this. I think she was talking about how
this was Tony smoked her weed. This was how she felt slighted. But this is also Tony's fault in that he got a little too close with the wrestlers, especially the lower talent. No offense to Big Swole, but she was not a Britt Baker, a Serena Deeb, a Thunder Rosa. Also,
though I will still stand by the fact that besides what became of that feud, the feud itself actually was pretty decent. And a lot of the in-between matches she had with like Reba and a couple of the other girls were actually really, really good, to build to Britt's return.
It's also sad that match against Diamante really was just a YouTube thing.
It really was. But it was really good.
Right, but no one got to see it. It's interesting, by the way. She talked about the tooth and nail match.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did this match make Jim Cornette stop watching AEW for a while, which is funny because that was actually the period of time where they found out that the ratings dropped 200,000 because Jim wasn't reviewing. Jesse, there was a person behind the scenes at this match that they spent a day at, not even Britt's dentist office, but her friend's dentist office. Mr. Omega was apparently on set as a producer of this. And from what I heard early before I read this interview, Jerry Lynn was also involved. Why was Kenny Omega producing over Jerry Lynn? I'm sorry. I have no words for this statement.
So when I heard about that, I rolled my eyes.
And by the way, before we move on, folks, again, the whole Tony buying ROH, we'll have more when we see what happens. Right now, we don't know. That's our initial thoughts.
And like I said, overall, I do believe overall it is a positive.
Oh no, 100%.
Because he needs actual coaches to be working with that young talent.
But AEW at the beginning was a positive, and we've seen what's happened since. So
I was always half and half because, like I said, I saw that press conference and I was like, "Oh, here we go, another group of Americans/Canadians just taking a shot at the guys up north instead of going like, what's the name finally did with Impact going, we're just going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to do our own thing.
Scott.
And Scott D'Amore. And by the way, it has worked beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing. And by the way, he's been able to mend a lot of fences doing that.
Congratulations to Tennille Dashwood for finally getting a belt on U.S. soil.
Right.
Is it her first overall ever, or is it her just first on U.S. soil, if I remember correctly?
I would have to go back to her Ring of Honor days or Women of Honor days because I actually don't remember.
Oh, by the way, both the WWE former gals at Impact lost.
Yeah, which is The
Inspiration and Mickey both.
Yeah.
By the way, I can't wait to see what Steels does with the belt. I mean, she's been doing really.
She's done I think it feels like, because I had known about her work on the Indies.
Yeah.
It feels like her time in the NWA with Billy is what really helped her start to understand the business and understand storytelling.
It wasn't her that blew the lid on the whole situation with Tessa, was it?
No, I don't remember. No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
No.
All right.
But yeah. So cause it feels like when I think of Tasha Steelz and what she became when she got to Impact, I'm like, I feel like it really started with working with Billy in that team in NWA, which, by the way, once again, and I have nothing but love and respect for Nick Aldis. I think that, to me, that's another reason they deserve to be on bigger television and use Power as almost a lower tier show at some point.
Yeah.
Because they are doing a lot of good stuff with younger talent on the indies.
They really are.
And using the old school format of doing studio TV and all that, but working with those wrestlers of 10 plus years.
It's very dry up here, despite the fact that it's also
right.
humid. That's what happens up here.
Promise I'm not getting anybody sick. It's just I'm been stuck with this damn thing now for 4 days. But
and you also were outside chipping ice.
Right. So, but yeah, the being in NWA helped her so much, and now she has solidified herself as kind of a top women's competitor there in Impact.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, when I saw it, I was super happy because I actually missed this match.
Okay.
I missed this match live because I was just getting done with some other stuff at home.
Yeah.
And then I kind of did catch the rest of the show, which was great.
I've been putting
on the show, Josh Alexander signed a new contract. So.
Which, by the way, the internet immediately, if you're an AEW stan, you immediately turned on Josh and said, congratulations, now you're stuck in front of 50 fans. And I'm not just quoting a meme. There were people that were actually like, why would he do this? And I'm like, because he knows what the shit goes on over there in Jacksonville.
All you got to do is watch.
Yep.
All I got to do is watch.
Josh, very aware of his own career.
Right.
Especially since he's separated from his North Tag Team partner.
Because here's the thing in Impact. They tape their TV.
Yep.
They tape just enough to their pay-per-view shows.
Yep.
Because they already put plans in place on how they're going to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so it gives those those men and women more time. That way, if they want to go out and do some of the indie stuff, they can go do it.
And by the way, your boy Jay put on a match that he's worthy of putting on American soil. But again, he can't get that booking in AEW, but he can get that booking in Impact.
That was the most evil, well, not evil, angering thing I watched on Rampage ever was that match between him and Trent. Because I know those two are capable of more.
You've actually soured on that the more you've actually talked about it and watched it because you're thinking to yourself, I've watched these guys have barn burners.
And then we get it on Rampage, and that was it. Well, like I said,
that's the other thing, Jesse. I did say, congrats, Tony. You got the King on your TV.
You got Minoru Suzuki, and the first time you had him, you cut his song short. You do not cut Kaninare short.
Well, the fans kept going, so it didn't
matter. Right, but
short. The fans didn't give.
I'm like, you cut whatever. Anyway. But yeah, congratulations to her.
But back to Big Swole.
So here's the thing. Because, by the way, she's not under any NDA or anything like that.
No.
So she could talk about her time there.
Because, again, despite somebody else that was released and found out about it on the internet, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tony, you're a shady motherfucker. So her contract expired.
So
basically, not renew.
Well, before her contract expired, they sat down, they discussed it. Yeah. Basically, she was released. By the way.
Oh yeah.
But because he said, because when you go, I'm not going to renew you, and you're free to do whatever.
Your release date is set at the date
right.
expires.
That's basically saying you're going to be released.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. She talked about the tooth and nail match.
Right.
Going back to Kenny. What is he doing booking this division? What is he doing producing? And how the hell does Kenny Omega on a wrestling anything have more authority than Jerry fucking Lynn? And sorry, folks, for who've only followed national thing.
Right.
Jerry Lynn is one of the most respected men in wrestling alive today. End of conversation.
What I don't understand is after the first 2 years, how do you not learn from your mistakes yet?
Yeah.
And how
no one's doing cinematic anymore, but remember, everyone thought WWE was going to turn that way. Guys, they only went that way in the first place because of the pandemic. Now that it's gone, they have
the pandemic to protect The Undertaker.
Yes.
And then because, Wyndham came up with an awesome-ass idea. So, like...
It got gimmicked out.
It ended up getting gimmicked out, but he
it was a great idea.
He put in a great story in place, ended up using Alexa, which, of course got her where she is now. Yeah. Because then WWE, well, shit, Wyndham, are you willing to take her on as an extra character? And with her, he was like, you know what? Yes, story-wise, because it would fit. But yeah, it's very interesting to like, here's the thing. You have Jerry Lynn in the building. Billy Gunn. You have Dustin.
Yeah.
There's better people to be working with that women's division.
And by the way, Dustin trains a lot of the girls backstage on the basics that they should do. Remember, we still haven't figured it out yet. We might have to do some deep dive. Mm-hmm. I still want to know who produced the Jade match with what's her name, because God.
Well, here's the thing.
Damn.
Her last two
Allie.
Her last two title defenses have been rough.
Yes.
Like I told people, including the PWL, I can't defend it.
No.
Because you're watching, you're like, this is bad.
Your eyes don't lie.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people have rose-colored glasses on with AEW.
Right.
Is that how do your eyes tell you this is the best thing on television?
It doesn't.
Because here's the deal. And I'm serious about this, Jesse. Their production feels like you're watching a 1990s version of WWE television. That's the feel of what they're doing.
So
am I wrong about that?
No, I mean you're not. No, you're not completely wrong. And here's the thing. It makes me nervous because we gave her all the credit in the world at the beginning of the year because of her growth.
Yes.
And then to see her last couple title defenses, you're like I said last week, I'm like, I don't know how you don't have chemistry with Allie. I don't know how you don't get the chance to pre-work with Allie.
Yeah.
One of the best women's wrestlers on the planet, to make sure that match was crisper.
Now I want to point out. She has played a lot of different characters.
Right.
The funny I don't get, but playing Allie back in Impact, she just has that face.
Right.
She played the role so perfectly that you forgot how good the match is. because I think Impact has always tried to be more soap opera-ish.
I will say this:
they were wrestling in.
I'm about to say they were, because people are like, man, WWE is so like movie style. But no, Impact is definitely more movie style.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
but Scott's able to give you a payoff.
you can get great matches out of what they do. So
that was Lucha Underground's
I was about to say that was if you love Lucha, if you actually watch Lucha Underground, it was mostly like you were watching a soap opera.
Yeah.
And then they would go on and put out these killer ass matches.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
But yeah, so I'm nervous, but Ty Conti's so good, I would think they've been able to work this out.
Yeah.
Because Ty Conti has become so good in the ring. Her promos still suffer a little bit. But in the ring, she's really good.
Is it me, or is she trying too hard? Because you've been quoted on the show and saying, let that personality out more.
Right.
But is she trying to be too bubbly?
I think she's actually trying to be too badass, which is the problem.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Like you don't have to talk badass to be badass. Just get in the ring and do what you do, and people will be like, man, that chick's badass, bro.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm trying to think. I think Molly Holly's a good comparison to Ty in the sense that Molly's promos were never, I would say, something you like. I'll say this: you'll never remember a Molly promo.
No,
but a Molly match.
I would say when she was the heel champion.
Yeah,
and she had that really long run.
Yeah,
and of course was able to get herself and what's her name on Mania. Still one of the
Victoria.
Yeah, one of the biggest stroke of geniuses plans. You know what? Fuck, I'll shave my hair, Vince. Yeah. And then Vince was, well, okay, that's the show. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, all day.
I do believe that what Molly did have was an ability to talk technically.
Yeah.
So she could put over her opponent while talking about how she was going to beat her opponent. Right. Ty doesn't feel has that, but because of her martial arts background, she doesn't need to talk about how she's going to kick because you believe she can. But like I said, the match, I'm nervous for it tonight.
And by the way, folks, I want to point some out. That tooth and nail, Jesse, tell me why Britt Baker doesn't deserve to be a top 5 women's wrestler right now. The fact that she got herself over after that happened.
I will give Britt Baker all the credit in the world for being able to develop her own career. Because Kenny Omega can be given credit, but I just don't believe he deserves it.
I don't believe Kenny's done most of this because, well, and the problem is Kenny comes from, I don't think it's ever been actually said. Kenny came from a place of wrestling. Women's wrestling wasn't taken seriously. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Stardom's done their best, but it's not like New Japan's giving Stardom that much right now.
Culturally, it was never taken super seriously, even though Stardom's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
a long time.
So, do you want to just explain the past Dynamite along with the matches for Revolution?
So I'll let you go ahead and run
All right.
it down.
Hook versus QT Marshall. Now, this has been mostly on Rampage, so I think a lot of people don't know about this. This is the first time QT's doing something that's worth watching.
It's the first time I actually kind of believe him as a heel, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say this. Hook's going to probably whoop that ass.
Yep.
Again.
They haven't messed him up yet, but I think Taz has a lot to do with that.
Taz is protecting his son, which is smart.
Yeah.
But, yeah, also, another guy they haven't...
As we learned from Leroy, it'll make you open your eyes to a lot more things. I think Taz is starting to realize this Tony Khan bullshit because he's realizing my kid could get involved in this, and Taz is like, this is not how you get over.
And he's building his son brilliantly.
And by the way, Hook's already at this age on a bigger platform than his dad arguably ever was.
And I'm guessing he hasn't developed promo skills.
No.
Because they don't let him talk, which is smart right now.
Oh yeah, no, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Let him just go out there, whoop people's ass, and move on.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant concept. It's a brilliant character. And he just goes out, whoop ass, and move on.
And he seems to keep himself in shape. He seems to really take his training seriously. To where I don't believe that he's taking nights off, whereas I believe Adam Cole has taken the last 7 weeks off.
People talk about how it's a shame that Ricochet's always in the mid card, but I'm like, it's a real shame that Team Taz's team is constantly in the lower mid card.
Yeah, no, you want to talk about Ricochet? Well, we'll get to Ricochet. We'll get to Ricochet here in a second.
Right.
Legit Layla Hirsch versus the no longer an alien, and according to AEW, was never an alien, Chris Statlander.
First of all, you guys, that was her original gimmick. That's how you promoted her. By the way, that's a WWE move.
Yeah.
People are pissed because, Ronda, has been on SmackDown talking about, I'm going to be the first woman to make Charlotte tap at Mania, and clearly we all know that Sasha has done it 3 times.
Yes.
Now, That's a very WWE thing to do, to say something's never happened. Somebody's going to be there for, but it's happened before.
And for those of you who are like, well, they haven't, completely ignored it, I'm like, no, they have. We're not even talking about.
They're trying to ignore it.
They're doing their best to ignore it. The problem is that Excalibur probably doesn't have notes, much like Pat. But when Pat doesn't have notes, there's a reason why Pat doesn't.
Well, because as Vince said on the show, like he's so damn entertaining.
I don't want you to know what's going on.
It almost sounds like he makes.
Do you have Hirsch or do you have Statlander? It seems like they're building Statlander for something.
I think this is going to be a Hirsch thing.
But this is one of those companies, Jesse.
Because you almost have to build another heel.
Yes, you do.
And
here's the problem.
Legit Layla Hirsch. I mean, she actually is pretty legit in that ring.
Yeah. And here's the deal. The problem with this company is they think they can build stuff off of a loss, but they don't do it well.
Oh, and by the way, talk about making a babyface unfucking likable. How are you going to... Chris Statlander was literally talking about how Layla's adopted parents are like going to regret the day they adopted her or some shit. I'm like, really?
And that's your face in
there. I'm like, that's the baby face?
Yeah, that's your good guy.
Wow. Wow.
But Jesse, again, to quote, oddly enough, the bro, Vince Russo, heat. End of anything. Just heat.
Just fucking heat.
The House of Black versus Pac.
Yeah.
Penta now going by Oscuro.
That's his original, because I think he did have it in Lucha Underground, and he had it in AAA originally.
Well, it was Penta Dark, basically. Yeah. And now Eric Redbeard.
Yeah.
Has appeared. I'm very happy for Eric to get this opportunity. He should have been given it a long time ago.
I think it was his decision on not to join AEW originally.
Yes, no. I had read that. This is, if they leave this alone, and I'm serious, get spooky with the entrances, but if you leave it alone and just let the match go,
right,
this could be great.
It could be a lot of fun.
This could be a lot of fun to watch because,
as I said, when I look at the card, besides a couple of matches,
yeah,
it looks like a banger of a card.
It's
just some of the build has been absolutely horrendous.
Horseshit.
Just like people are like, man, some of the WWE's build is bad. I'm like, some of this build is even worse.
Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti is next. I don't know what to think. I don't.
This should be a great match.
It should be.
It should be a great match.
Up to this is your piss break.
Am I nervous though? Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you don't have any
working relationship
with
right now.
Especially with Allie.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm nervous.
I can't believe I'm actually saying this. The AHFO, Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy versus Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Sting. First of all, Sammy was just dealing with fucking Inner Circle bullshit. Sting and Darby are barely seen except helping Punk to the back after a beatdown.
To be fair, they've been in this stupid feud with the AHF Buffalo for a long time.
And Andrade apparently can't seem to turn around and realize that there is a door that doesn't say exit, and he can go into the building and cut a promo, but no, he's always in a stairwell cutting a promo.
Here's my problem.
The exit sign goes to the stairwell, not the building.
No.
I know he can't. Can he read English?
He can read it.
Okay, so he knows what exit means.
Trust me, there's a lot of jokes I would like to make about Andrade, but here's the thing. I remember when we gave Miro a lot of heat because we were just like,
what the fuck
bro, you left WWE to be the bitch boy to Kip Sabian, really?
Yeah.
But once he got away from him, he took off.
And then got hurt, obviously.
Which happens in pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah. We're about to talk about somebody here. Well, okay, we'll just get out of the way. Chelsea Green is hurt again.
Right.
I mean, she was starting to get some of her best work going, and I feel bad.
I'm going to say something controversial, but guys, I need you to understand this because you're like, why do some people get released? This is why Chelsea got released from WWE.
This is also why Tegan got released from
WWE. When they want to build you, they start working with. Remember, Chelsea Green did two big backstage things with not only Adam Pearce, but she did one with Vince.
Yeah.
They clearly were going to use her.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly hurt, what can you do?
Yeah. Because again, I feel like where Tegan was talking about she didn't feel accepted backstage, I doubt that it had anything to do with her, personal preferences towards her love life.
I'm about to
say, had to deal with the fact that people were just losing interest in you because you were never around.
Yeah,
she was gone a combined 16 months on 2 separate ACLs.
Right. And then here was the other thing, like the main roster.
The only thing that's taken to get rid of Candice LeRae was Johnny Gargano.
If I was her, especially if you were gonna stay in WWE, the moment you started to see that Shotzi was kind of getting the backstage love before you got released, maybe just go try to do NXT UK again.
Yeah.
And then that way, like, you're at home, closer to your loved ones, like. And at least then if you get hurt, Sean and them aren't going to trip too hard.
Yeah.
Because they tape that television. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Which, by the way, just like you said with Impact, I'm going to be that guy that says if you ain't watching NXT UK, that's
on you.
That's on you.
Peacock is insanely accessible.
Yes.
So here's the thing.
Also, again, if you had a WWE subscription, they literally just gave you a Peacock subscription.
Right.
I literally had to sign 2 forms electronically. I had a Peacock subscription. That's like it was a flawless transition.
I'm about to say they actually transitioned you to actually get Peacock without any commercials at first too.
Yeah, they did.
Here's the thing.
This match, the 6-man tornado tag, I don't know where I don't know because they've done 17 separate things on the road to Revolution.
The only cool thing about the biggest cool thing about this
They're
match,
probably debuting Jeff Hardy.
I haven't looked to see when that contract actually expired or the 90-day expired.
Yeah.
Now, I know he was just in Minneapolis because he was doing his tour.
He was in Fridley.
Sorry, thank you, Fridley. Yeah. Which Minneapolis suburb?
Well, no, it's actually, I think, 2 hours north of here.
Fridley, Minnesota is yeah.
There's so many small towns within 2 hours of here in every direction.
Because remember, I think it's no more than 40 minutes from Valley Fair.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
The match should be insanely great.
Yeah.
By the way, clearly Tommy Inn is able to book his own stuff in AEW.
Yeah.
Because the whole Knights of the Black is clearly mostly him.
Yeah, but we're on the other 6-man tag right now, so.
AHFO.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. So. Oh yeah. So here's the thing. Sorry, I got confused for a second.
Yeah, it's all good.
Here's the thing.
Well, there's 2 6-man tag matches on the same pay-per-view, which again, Jessie has actually realized with the way that they book. He kind of gets Vince's weird quips about what to do and not to do on shows.
Right.
Like, I mean, let's be honest. This main event, good luck calling the main event. It's Adam versus Adam, and there's no Eve.
They're just going to do Paige versus Cole. But here's the thing.
They're going to have to.
They're going to have no choice. Number one, Matt Hardy still just... I waste of time.
This is the dollar store version of what the Matt Hardy brand was in Impact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all this was.
Oh, yeah.
And what I don't understand, folks, is we have to go back and we have to understand that when we talk about Matt Hardy, right before the broken gimmick, Matt Hardy sat in the Impact tapings, and he made me believe in him as a heel for the first time in arguably 20 years.
He was amazing in Impact.
It was great.
Listen, what I do not understand when it comes to Matt Hardy is how do you have that creative force?
Yeah.
And you have basically, just like Team Taz, you've basically buried that group.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose.
Well, but again, Jesse, we talked about it. The young African-American boys over there in NXT 2.0, they haven't been buried. They made it to like the friggin' semifinals of the the quarterfinals of the Dusty Cup.
Right.
They had a main event spot on an NXT level up.
Right.
He faced Kushida.
I know. Which is amazing.
And he beat him.
Right.
Which Kushida probably didn't care.
Right.
But if you watch the match, you're like, oh, this motherfucker can still go.
Helping to put over a young guy. Here's the thing.
Yeah. Private Party, do they even exist
This
anymore?
is the other match I don't even care about.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't give a
because I don't see, unless Jeff Hardy is debuting as a heel.
Which he can't because the contract's not up.
And I don't believe it's up yet.
Yeah.
I was kind of researching it earlier. I think it's not up until right after Mania. So
yeah.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter because if the AHFO take another loss, who cares?
Sting and Darby are getting wins, but they're not in the tag team.
And really, Sting is the one who gets the pins most of the time. Yeah. So, because it's the one way they can kind of use him. He can look strong.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to worry about taking a major bump.
He is a little more fragile than people actually wanted to believe. I hate to say that. Next up is a match that, oh my God, it could have been so good. It could have been amazing. But why the fuck did we have to have the freaking middle school arguments in the back? And then we had 2 battle royals.
Right.
We had, but I don't even know what the buildup was anymore because there was so much childish bullshit that apparently involved Adam fucking Cole.
So clearly you're talking about the Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match.
Jurassic Express versus Redragon versus the Bucks.
I am more convinced than ever that Redragon and the Bucks are going to cancel each other out.
Yep.
And that Jurassic Express will actually retain.
But the sad part about it is, Jesse, they've barely been a part of this story.
And they're the tag team champions.
That the tag team champions winning, it's not going to be the story, number one.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about the fact that they're the tag team champions. They technically just want to see Redragon versus the Bucks.
Right.
Mostly because they want the Bucks versus FTR, but the Bucks ain't doing that. We're the goddamn
Hey, they got their W.
Yeah, they got their W. They got the W, and they out.
Right, they're done with it.
They are your former New York Jet corner who went down to New England. He got his win, and then he went somewhere else to get his money again.
Right.
He was like, screw it.
Only came back to us when he knew it was at the last part of his career.
Because they were going to pay him for the nostalgia factor.
Right.
But yeah,
it's amazing. So, because I've been watching this build.
So basically, you have the champions winning.
Yeah.
But it's not going to mean jack shit. They're probably going to win, get out of the ring. It's going to turn into a feud between the Bucks and Redragon.
Basically.
And I'm like, you couldn't have just, I don't know, Bucks screwed them? No, you have to put yourselves in a match.
And what's confusing to me is they did all this without Kenny Omega there.
Yeah.
Isn't this how you want Kenny Omega to come back and get kicked out of the Elite?
Kenny can clearly work a show, he just can't work a match.
Well, he can't book a match that isn't his own.
No, I'm talking physically. Kenny can at least come back and talk.
Maybe the promos won't be so breathy when he comes back. We'll see.
Well, I'm starting to learn maybe the vertigo had a lot to do with that. So maybe the vertigo cleared up his brain. He's like, damn, that sounded like a balloon you let out.
Because I've been interested in the story. But once they kind of put it about the tag titles, I was like, well, now neither one of you is going to win.
No.
I'm like,
You're going to cancel each other out. The dinosaur and the boy who would be king but can't speak are going to somehow slither their way in and do. They're the baby faces here.
Yeah, they're the only baby faces.
What is the? I'm sorry, folks. The eye test on the build that I've seen, and stop telling me builds don't matter. Because guess what? The reason you wanted FTR versus the Bucks was what was on Twitter for 4 years.
Twitter.
And I know that recently, I think it's
being the Elite.
Yeah, recently, I think it was Dax came out and talked about the issues with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on another day. But here's the deal. Boys, you still would have been better off in WWE because they would have sat there and said, okay, we don't really care about the tag team division, but you'll work with the Usos for 4 months.
They were 4-time tag team champions, I think. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, every now and then you're doing ass cream stuff in WWE. You're dealing with 370-year-olds. Like, every now and then the old guys are going to ask you to do something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But the more clout you get, you can go, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, like,
Charlotte, I guarantee, has nixed a lot of things.
At this point, yes.
It's been proven that Roman's nixed a lot of things.
Because he was at a point, at a certain point where you go, yeah, if I'm doing this, no one else is doing this tonight.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, yeah, it's...
I also hate to say it. They're kind of victims of their own generation. Like
Maybe.
you said, Jesse, they hadn't built the clout they thought they did.
Right.
I'm sorry, folks, but Triple H has clout with you because that was his baby. Vince's baby is keeping the damn thing on television. You want to build some clout, you got to build the clout all over again.
I will say this, even watching the interview, my stance is even stronger. The biggest problem in WWE is the booking.
Yeah.
And I'm because I'm listening to the interview, and I go, yeah, but Vince, if you weren't listening to the Bucktooth one, and then the soul speaking ass clown, we might be in a better place.
Yeah.
Now, I get his feelings on the IWC because, trust me, I feel just about the same way at this point.
We all do, yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, technically they would say we are a part of it. In a way, we are, but we're not a part of that toxic part of that shit.
No. Because despite what we say, we actually are objective.
We try to be as objective as possible.
But here's the deal. The second you hear praise of WWE and negative of AEW, you don't care that we go the other way as well. You don't care.
Right.
Anyway, past that, this will be a barn burner. It's Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
Gonna be great.
This is El Steen. End of conversation.
Right.
I don't want to talk about it. I just want to watch.
Watch. It's gonna be an excellent match.
Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston has potential.
So he's gotten into a lot of great shape, Chris Jericho has.
Well, that's because he realized that just because Brian Last and Hugh Cornette made fun of you, no, NBA Twitter also made fun of you.
They did get on him.
They got on your ass.
Them black dudes got on his ass, bro. Like, this is Chris Jericho? You mean Fat Jericho? I mean, they were getting on his ass, bro.
Fatico?
Yeah, I mean, the jokes were insane.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, here's the thing.
Ass clown to fat ass.
This should be a great match.
Yes.
This should be a physical fight.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are they going to frickin' take pot shots the whole match? Are they going to find a way to pot shots?
I don't think so. I think it's done.
Okay, all right.
I think that was all in the promos.
And now the match that makes no fucking sense. Keith Lee, Limitless, for he is limitless. Versus Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, and for some reason, a young up-and-coming talent named Christian Cage I've never heard of.
Oh, by the way, there was supposed to be 7. They decided to take Scorpio Sky out the match. He's going to get his title shot on Dynamite, and he'll probably just lose. Good job, Scorpio. Good job.
You don't hate the man, but you literally don't understand how someone can have so little respect for their own career.
Well, it used to be one of my favorite wrestlers on the scene. Not just as a black man, but just as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
If all you want to do is the podcast, dude, cool.
We do it. Join us.
Right.
We'll gladly talk to you about
I actually
shit.
like the podcast. It's really, really good because they don't just talk wrestling. They talk like Marvel and all. And it's cool. It's a great podcast. Go check it out on YouTube.
But if that's all you want to do, why are you still in a wrestling
career?
do
that.
Yeah, please.
Because you clearly don't care about your wrestling career at this point. And here's the worst part.
What is this? What is this match, Jesse?
There's 2 small guys.
Yeah.
In a ladder match.
Yeah.
They try to even that out with Christian because of his experience in ladder matches. But still, like...
Yeah, but the problem is that he's working with guys who, I go down this list, no one in here is a ladder match guy.
I think Keith did do one in NXT.
I think... Well, no, he wasn't in the North American title. Was he in the North
No.
American title, the original?
No.
He wasn't.
No, that was Damian Priest
right,
and Big Damo.
Yeah.
And Lars Sullivan, who we've only just recently heard from recently.
But anyway,
interesting man.
But anyway,
but
Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs should be a singles match on this pay-per-view.
Which
not in this crowd.
I want to see that match so damn bad.
So do I. Wardlow, yeah.
Wardlow's going to be the winner.
Yep.
Because I think, clearly they're setting up Wardlow to finally break away from MJF. Yeah. It actually might happen
Which
tonight.
They've been teasing since the first 6 nights of Dynamite. I'm not joking. They've only been teasing that thing for 4 years now.
But they've been doing a really good job of it the last 4 or 5 months.
Well, that's because they're finally paying attention to it.
Right. He finally started to turn on another useless fucking
piece of shit.
Just
the chairman.
If it wasn't for your wife, no one give a fuck about you, the chairman. Here's the thing. This should be a great match.
All you had to do was let WWE print a couple of 10 shirts, and you might have been able to get off the gimmick, bro.
Oh, we're talking about him. I don't even give a shit about him.
That's fair.
He should have accepted that he was a mid-carder. It's okay to be a mid-carder. You're still getting paid.
You've praised his ability to be a great technical competitor.
Yes.
But you know that personality-wise,
he's a mid-carder.
He has jack shit.
He's a mid-carder at best.
Yeah.
And then here's the other thing. So
notice, by the way, the chairman is not even a part of this pay-per-view.
This is going to be half controversial.
You know who else isn't a part of this pay-per-view? FTR.
Oh, I'll get on them later. But so 54 minutes in, here's the controversial thing. I listened to the 2 Keith Lee interviews, he has every right to feel that way.
Yes.
He has every right to feel that way. He has every right to be confused that, after the original injury when they let him, by the way, because he beat Randy Orton in his first ever pay-per-view match.
He did.
That's huge.
He did. Randy Orton, if you actually delve into his career, he might be GOAT territory because he has the resume.
Right, and then he's not known for putting over a lot of young wrestlers.
He's not known for putting over anybody.
Right,
which is not necessarily Randy's fault.
It's just who he is. But here's the thing: you beat Randy Orton. That's huge.
Yeah.
Then you were supposed to kind of beat Bobby Lashley. Got hurt. Shit happens.
Yep.
Shit happens. Right. Okay, they come to you with the Bearcat thing because they want, because it wasn't even because he was black. The story he told is because he was a bigger guy. They felt like maybe he should be more aggressive all the time.
Yeah. And that's and by the way, you even said in your days in Evolve, you weren't in Evolve, but when you watched, you even said one of his biggest flaws has been trying to be a little more cute as opposed to aggressive.
Well, I've always said that he could do the aggressive thing in a match.
Yeah.
But personality-wise, that's not who he is.
He is the quintessential gentle.
Right. So, basically, he's Big Show without, being 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
He's Paul White. So, you have every right to feel that way, Keith.
Yeah.
Because I get why he felt that way.
Yeah.
Even after that failed, and then maybe being the man, being the backup bodyguard for Adam Cole, who they wanted to re-sign. If both of you guys
allegedly,
allegedly,
still allegedly, no one's confirmed anything.
Well, it feels like he kind of semi-confirmed that.
No, actually, he's the one that said he didn't hear about it.
Oh, okay.
And Adam said the same thing.
Okay, so if that was the case, because by the way, they weren't going to cut Adam Cole's hair, but if they were, you would have been doing better than what you are now because your hair grows back, son. Here's the thing.
Think Vince would have cared if he had that mullet back, not mullet, but if he had the long hair back in 6 months.
Because if anything, they could have just put Adam Cole on Raw. That way, they didn't even have to separate fucking Adam Cole.
And Michael Cole.
Then they don't. Now they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Here's the thing. You guys would have been better off.
Yeah.
Because you go through. Because trust me, I get it. The booking because of a buck-toothed idiot, a slow-speaking idiot, and a big, tall guy who could never wrestle to save his fucking life, even though he came from a family of great wrestlers.
Not only that, but thought he had a great run in Japan. It's like, dude, I hate to say it, you were the Bucks in Japan.
Let me tell you who he was in Japan.
All right, please do.
Shawn Spears. Fucking useless is what he was. I mean, CM Punk was absolutely right in that promo.
You had the look.
He sucked.
You had the look. But in this ring, you couldn't lace up anyone's boots.
He sucked in the ring. But when you get around those three guys, at some point Vince would have saw what he wanted to see in you. He would have found a niche.
But again, Jim Cornette fucking said it. How do you sell Adam Cole? You have to give Vince a comparison to what worked, not what failed.
Right.
And by the way, Vince does not deal in, well, he could be. You got to give him what he would be or what he will be. All you had to do was say Roddy Piper, and I think Vince would have got it.
Or like I said, there's no chance to me that Triple H didn't tell him, like, dude, he's my best friend. He's the next Shawn.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance in hell he didn't tell Vince that.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, they were actually starting to get him in, like, cut shape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were able to kind of help him with.
And then he goes to AEW, and for some strange reason, muscle mass became a phrase that
Britt has every right to defend her fiance, but I'm sorry, sweetheart, he got fucking fat.
He's not even fat. Jesse, I am seeing veins to the point where there's no body mass. There's nothing in Adam Cole, baby.
I'm not.
That's the one you get at him.
Now, some of the comments she heard are disrespectful.
Actually, no. Adam, baby, fat, baby. Okay.
Is that a baby face, baby fat? Here's the thing.
ABC. Adam, baby, fat, Cole.
ABFC.
Yeah.
There we go. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, Jim Cornette was right. The best days of him are behind him, but he'll probably be champion tonight, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You guys would have been better off just suffering a little bit longer, because eventually Vince does get it right.
He does.
And you're going to get your 6 to 7 figures, as...
Well, Jesse, we have some Raw and SmackDown news to talk about a little later in the show going into Mania.
Yeah.
Two guys who reportedly had no creative, and there's two sides to that story. We'll get to that later.
Right.
But Vince kind of is now featuring him. By the way, I want to point something out. Allison had a hell of a week of wrestling because her two guys, they both had great weeks. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
So here's the thing.
I also have no problem saying that Finn Balor may have gotten me much more fun night. Let's just say
Monday night was a good night for you.
Let's just say after Raw went off the air, I had a good night.
Well, thank you, Finn.
Finn, if you can send my girl a cameo, I'll send you a card.
Money, chocolate, whatever you like.
Whatever.
Here's the thing,
I got a good hookup for some good Irish whiskey.
So you get to AEW,
yeah,
and you're straight to the mid card. Now, I believe it is going to be hard to not put him as a. You would be doing yourself a disservice if now you have Keith Lee and that man isn't in the main event for 3 months.
Yes.
You would be doing yourself a great disservice.
See, here's the deal. If you can find a way to keep him relevant for 3 months and then put him in the main event, that's fine. The problem is that Adam Cole became irrelevant day one he walked in. Sorry. Well, here's what people don't understand. We'll talk about it more in the main event, so we'll get to that in a second. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Thunder Rosa.
Should be a great match. We'll see how it goes because apparently she's working. She's working with an injury. Thunder Rosa is, but apparently it's a workable injury. So
take the belt off of Britt.
I think they are.
It's done. It's over with. Because here's the deal. I actually made this joke, and surprisingly, people didn't. Take
because
she could be champ for another year, and she won't even remember she's champ.
Right.
That's the sad part.
Because now it's starting to feel like she's doing the Kenny thing and running through the division.
Well, not only that, but it's starting to feel a little Triple H-ish in the sense of we really want anything other than this.
So, and here's the thing. Thunder Rosa is a very deserving champion.
Yeah.
You're not losing anything by putting the championship on her.
She will have a barn burner with any single.
Right.
I'm using barn burner a lot, but that's because we're running out of explicit. I'm using them where they belong. She will have a banger of a match with anyone she gets in the ring.
She's absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
So this
and by the way,
this
folks,
should be a great match.
A tiny, short, not so stout girl that Jim Cornette loves to watch. So when the work is good, it's accepted by all generations.
Right.
What probably should be the main event, CM Punk versus MJF dog collar match. I actually can't wait for this.
This should be great.
By the way, because the pay-per-view was coming up,
it
was a little rushed, but they had to. But the swerve of MJF going 1 week from almost hugging
was great
to this. Look, first of all, we all knew it was coming, but
right.
It was still great. And by the way,
the promo he cut in the back was really great.
Like he said off AEW television, WWE going toss a lot of money your way, young man.
Yeah.
They're going to toss a lot of money your way.
Absolutely.
Especially if AEW's dumb enough not to get... Okay, do the Wardlow thing, get that over with, move on.
Right.
But if they don't put you in the title picture after Wardlow, what the fuck is he still doing there?
I don't know. Because he's a superstar.
I don't know what else to say about this other than that this has been... Okay, this is Reigns and Heyman and anyone they're working with of AEW.
Right.
I want to see this.
Right.
I care about this.
Right.
This is fantastic. No, MJF did not turn face. No, he didn't say he's going to stay in AEW the rest of his life.
Right.
He did what he was supposed to. He got the baby face to let down the guard.
Right.
And he got one over the older, the old wily vet.
Right.
This has been the best thing they've done ever.
This has been the man.
Give me one better thing AEW's done than this. I don't think there is.
You know what? I still do really like the John Moxley, Chris Jericho build up a lot.
You know, I put that maybe in my top 5, but
unfortunately for them though, it didn't.
Have to do. You and Leroy may have to force me to do a top 5 on things I've liked about AEW one of these days.
You know, I'm gonna write that down. I like that idea. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I will say this. It's been the best build they've had in about a year.
Oh yeah.
Now, the only reason people are asking, people will also ask about, well, what about Cody and Brody Lee? The reason I can't completely feel that way is because we didn't understand that what Brody was going through.
Right. We still have to look at things in what they were on TV.
Got to kind of look at it in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And as great as the build was to him taking the title and the absolute beat down of Cody.
Yeah.
Cody having to take the title back so soon because of Brody's health sucked.
Yeah, it really did.
Because it felt so deflating. Now, like I said, at the time, we just didn't know.
Exactly.
But we didn't have the right to know. That's what the family.
Oh, no. Unlike that one guy who used to work at Pro Wrestling Torch who no longer works there and shouldn't work there, we don't need to know about the family situation.
Right.
We don't care because it's literally none of our business.
Right,
now,
right.
I hate to say it, but it's the main event nobody cares about. And I'm sorry to even the AEW stands. You don't care about your world champion. You haven't cared about your world champion since the week after he got the belt. He's been the most feckless, ballless piece of shit world champion in decades because he doesn't even believe. Jim Cornette's right. He doesn't believe he's a world champion. He doesn't have a swagger to him. He doesn't have any belief in it. Look, Rey Mysterio, that's a different story because Rey had 20 years of being an underdog.
Right.
Kid, you're arguably the most talented person in the elite.
Yeah. Well,
in the American style.
I think, especially in the American style, for sure. Well, here's the thing. Hopefully, like I said, we get a much better Kenny Omega than we've had in AEW. But
maybe the Vertigo will clear his mind,
right,
and
because
the best bout machine will come back.
Because, like I said, that couldn't be just Gato protecting you. A part of that has to be you. You have to go out there and have those matches.
Tanahashi is great. Okada is great. Gato is great at what Gato does. They can't all be responsible for one person.
Right.
They can't do that. That's not possible.
Kota Ibushi is the ageless wonder. But by the way, who get healthy soon, brother. Maybe he's not the ageless wonder because now he's starting to suffer some injuries.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He's not a believable champion.
No.
At all.
No.
And people want to talk about Big E. But like I said, I'm like, this is the worst book champion.
And here's the other thing, Jesse. If he wanted to be a cowboy, then do cowboy shit. You haven't done what is cowboy shit by Jacksonville standard? Not that he lives in Jacksonville. I know he has a ranch.
Right.
But we've done nothing since the horse moment on, what was it, Lindale Avenue? It might have been down there in Minneapolis. Whatever it was. We haven't done a goddamn cowboy shit moment. He hasn't been doing promos on a ranch. He hasn't been doing ranch hand stuff.
They basically keep him with the absolutely, it feels like just we don't give a shit about Dark Order. Like
then Lance Archer was there. We don't know why.
Lance Archer got a title.
Ken E. Defiance. You know why you should go look him up on TikTok and all other platforms? Yeah. You'll know why when you see it.
Right.
Ken E. Defiance. You know why.
You know why. So, by the way, TikTok /Kenny Defiance, Facebook /Kenny Defiance. Go find him.
He's also now on YouTube.
Yes.
His Facebook page will take you to all those things.
For sure. We'll actually try to find the links and put them in the video here. So here's the thing. Adam's going to win it because he's a more credible champion. He just is. Even right now, he's a more credible name. He's a more credible champion.
Well, here's the deal. If this was WWE building this, the entire internet would agree with us. But because it's AEW building this, sorry, folks.
That's the thing no one wants to say. Because really, outside of the two Bryan matches, where, okay, he's starting to build some believability as champion, his next feud was Lance Archer, who had been gone forever. And then it was straight to Adam Cole. I'm like, well, okay. Like, you couldn't have did something with Chris Jericho.
And I'm sorry, Jesse. Cole lost to a hug. I know you've tried to defend the match. But here's the funny part. The guy on the show who's trying to defend the match is also the guy being like, okay, he lost. I know it doesn't, but it's a cheap way of getting the win for the good guy. By
right. Because we count the records. So because we count the records, we have to have our guy lose to a guy who you're supposed to be getting over, but we're not going to get him over. Like I said, one of the worst parts of this current match coming up, this World Championship match, is that Adam Page just hasn't been built as a champion. He was built up as an incredibly credible contender, someone who should be able to take the belt off of a Kenny Omega, off of a John Moxley, off of a Chris Jericho. And then he did take the belt off of Kenny Omega. And since he's been champion, it's outside, like I said, outside of the Bryan Danielson stuff, It's been nonsense. It's been nonchalant. The feud with Lance hurt because Lance has been gone for so long. How does Lance just come back and become number one contender? By the way, people don't like to talk about that, but it's absolutely insanity, and I do mean insanity, that they failed this kid so hard.
And folks, I want to be very clear. I have actually.
He's not a kid. He's like 28,
right.
But still.
I've actually enjoyed Adam Page since he was early Bullet Club.
Right.
I've liked him. He's been that sort of shining star.
Right.
His story's amazing.
Right.
I do like the story of him posing with all those high school kids because
he was a teacher to a pro wrestler.
Yeah, but folks, they have failed this.
Yeah.
They have botched this.
Oh, yeah.
And they have taken a shit on a guy who technically was at the press conference.
Yeah.
You think Cody got the worst end of the stick in AEW? I think Page is the most forgotten man in the Elite.
Yeah, so I think at some point we might get to Cody today. But I think, like I said, I think Cody saw the shit through the trees. And even if he comes back, you know as well as I do, after watching what's happened, he's going to be really on guard if he's back in any way. A part of me,
I don't know how you go back, though.
A part of me believes that all these reports are kind of a work. Now, Dave does talk to Cody often.
Yeah.
And maybe there has been a little bit of breakdowns on how he's going to come back. But a part of me believes he's already signed.
Same.
Because I'm like, they're teasing him way too hard for him to not already be signed.
Yeah.
So we'll know more after Mania for sure. But
Jesse, that's the other thing. And because we're going to leave AEW alone. The shows tonight.
Should be a great show otherwise. I believe that.
It'll be a long show, but it should be a good show.
So get your 5-hour energy shots ready because you'll need them.
Yeah. But anyway, we need to make... Okay, so now, ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen...
at least there's no Stadium Stampedes in this show.
That's good. That's because Jericho doesn't have 5 guys that'll work with him. Anyway. But here's the deal. This is the road to WrestleMania.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Right.
We are on that road.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a few tire mishaps, but we're on the road. Most of you. Jesse, can we stop with the BS about everyone who's anyone has to make their presence known on the road when the storylines are clear?
Right.
Everything is in bloom, essentially.
Right.
Okay, the flowers are coming to fruition. We're gonna have to pick them in when the matches happen.
They usually kind of start sometime after Survivor Series.
Right. But my point is this: is that folks, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Bayley, Cody, maybe all these other people. Can you wait till after WrestleMania?
Right.
Has AEW made you so impatient? Made you so freaking, it's about us?
I can't believe I'm going to be fair to Tony Khan. It wasn't his fault that he started to book that way. That's just his fan base.
Yeah.
They're impatient.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. WWE, sometimes the bills, you're like, God, can we just get to the match?
I agree.
Like, we've been working on this feud for like 4 months. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Can we finally have a blow-off? But otherwise, like, their fans have always been impatient. But some of these fans are like indie darling fans where, you know, and listen, I love my independent promotions, but they have to have their matches quick.
I said it before you got on the show. The idea of the indies is you're booked in Iowa one night, you're in Ohio the next.
So you have to kind of get a big match if you can.
You have to get the payoff,
right?
Because you want the promoter to want you back,
right?
The problem is, and I've said this from the beginning of their existence,
right?
You got 52 weeks, boys. You don't need the fact that FTR and the Bucks wasn't a 4-month build, and I'm fucking serious. Right. Which could have been first match, 2-3 weeks of something. Forget about it for 2 weeks, just because whatever.
Right.
Just literally don't exist on the show for literally 2 weeks. Okay, then all of a sudden, boom, we're back.
Right.
But then 4 more weeks. Like, the fact that didn't happen
right.
is actually, looking back, egregious. And by the way, we have to go back to that Battle Royal, which, again, Leroy was like, wait, what? We're like, yeah, Jesse and I heard about this live.
Yeah.
Jesse, they stood in that ring, and they walked to each other. Their fans want that rematch.
Yes,
it is
do.
clear.
Jim Ross brought it up.
Yeah.
So I would think Tony will probably overrule and we'll get the rematch because he's going to give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
It will probably be a random Dynamite, but he will give the fans what they want. And I mean, that's why people will always give them a break, because Tony will automatically just give the IWC what it wants.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's why I'm going to be fair to Tony. That's his fan base.
Yep.
I think he's got to be 3 years in, not renewing Cody and all that, got to be like, I'm having a little remorse because, I'm always giving them what they want, but there's not a lot of long-term storytelling now.
No.
In AEW. There's just not.
There's a lot of long-term storytelling in the sense that we're supposed to remember what these guys did before they went to the E 17 years ago.
Right.
But now which is funny because even their fans are like, House of Black is great. Two of those guys have literally almost killed each other on multiple occasions.
And people bring that up as a part of their lore, but I'm like, AEW doesn't mention that.
Right?
They barely mention it. They allow Excalibur to talk about, well, they've got some history.
What's the history, Excalibur? Because guess what? Jim Ross doesn't even know the history anymore because Jim Ross doesn't give a rat's hairy ass to learn
By
this
the way,
shit.
Jim Ross hasn't probably watched a WWE match in fucking 7 years.
Easy. Easy 7 years. Jesse, I don't get it.
Neither do I.
The IWC, guys, you create the content. I don't care what you say or what you don't.
Right.
You're the content creators.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you want to have the action figures in your hand. Tony Khan, as much as we think he's an idiot because of a lot of the things he's said, a lot of things he's done, a lot of the things he's booked, he's the man in charge, and he's maybe, like you said, starting to figure out what Vince learned a long time ago when the internet was technically still being invented.
One of the first internet, the internet, the IWC kind of guys like Dave Meltzer, and was like back in '96 and shit, and then of course Bruce has that stupid ass quote from Solo. Well, if we're making them mad, we're doing something right. Which, by the way, is a terrible fucking way to book.
I agree.
Just book based on goodness.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean we want to make others mad? You're fucking stupid.
Jesse, okay, we're going to start maybe doing this a little bit. On paper, what's this pay-per-view look like to you? 4 or 5 star pay-per-view on paper?
4.5.
4.5?
Yeah. 4.5.
Do you have it? Like, do you have a? Because it is draft season. Do you have a projection of if this will fall out of your 4.5 or raise to 4.5? It's like,
I think it'll just hit 4.5.
It'll hit the 4.5 mark
because I think I think that especially the AHFO match
will just be a piss break.
Will be let me go take a dump.
Which, by the way, folks, has a man in the match who's on a T-shirt of the 4 pillars, and one of the pillars hasn't had a pay-per-view match, I think, ever, except for random battle royals. Yes, I'm talking about Brian Pillman Jr. If Vince had his hands on Brian Pillman Jr.
What a fucking joke to call him one of the pillars and
Yeah.
you never use him.
No. In fact, I hate to say it, our girl Julia, which is well earned.
Right.
She's getting more time.
Right.
And Julia, we love you at the show. We've seen you perform.
Oh, yeah.
You've been great. Great lineage of just being part of this great area.
And she's just growing more and more as a performer.
But you're not the Pillman name.
Right.
Brian Pillman Sr. is one of the most recognizable names in professional wrestling ever.
Oh, yeah.
For a multitude of reasons. So, Jesse, I don't know what this is going to look like. It has the potential to be great, but it also has the potential to be a complete dumpster fire. Because
remember, I think it was All In.
Yeah.
I was nervous for every match, and that was clearly All Out, and it was clearly their best pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah.
By far bounds. So, like I said, this one, though, most of the matches look like barn burners. So, I'm already at a 4.5.
Okay.
So, by the way, for those who think I hate AEW, if I hated it, why would I start at a 4.5?
Right, exactly.
I would start at a 2.
Now, Jesse, we issued you a challenge last week.
Yes.
It is time, once again, for one of your top 5s. And we're going to put it right here because we're going to get off the pay-per-view, get off AEW, which, by the way, again, 966 was your rating for Dynamite. And again, I like to remind people of these things because they don't seem, when they're defending AEW, to even bring up real numbers.
Right.
But anyway, your top 5 biggest botches. I'm not talking about moments because Botchamania has already done that for you. I am talking about what 5 things that the day you heard this company and you finally flipped your switch and said, okay, I'm excited. What have you seen go so far downhill? Now remember, I want to point something out before you go. Folks, this is the company that said, if not us, who? If not when?
Yeah.
Cody said that. He's not there anymore. But this is the company that said everything is canon.
Right.
Everything exists.
Right.
You come in here with heat with someone from 20 years. You come in here with heat with someone from 20 years. Heat.
Heat.
But here's the deal.
That's still one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard in my life.
But you know what? But you know what's funny? You know what doesn't need heat from Vince Russo? Haitian Heat Hot Sauce.
Haitian Heat Hot Sauce, brought to you by Al Sands up here in the Northland.
Once again, championship boxer.
Yes, WBF Cruiserweight, ABF Cruiserweight champion. Al Sands and his team produces the hot sauce right here locally. It's just a team of him and about 30 to 40 people, all naturally grown and made ingredients. Because people forget that a pepper, while it has the heat because of the seed, is also a fruit.
Seed and veins.
Thank you.
Seed and veins.
So it's actually really, really sweet when you can kind of get to its juices. Also, the barbecue sauce is made from natural hickory. So when you get to
Look for our YouTube page, we're going to do some fun stuff with that barbecue sauce.
And understand, because he's been back boxing, I believe he does actually have another match coming up.
Yep.
They are a little behind. They're trying to get the store up so they can just start getting the back orders out as quick as possible.
Folks, I think I mentioned this last week, and we'll talk to him about it when he's on the show again.
Right.
We can't wait for that.
Right.
That man is so fucking driven in life to just be great at everything.
Right. He's amazing. And
sometimes certain projects do suffer because of that drivenness. But folks, it is worth the wait.
Oh yes.
It is worth the time and effort that they put into it.
Oh yes.
And they wouldn't still be doing it this many years later if it wasn't an absolutely fantastic adventure for them. We cannot wait. Jesse and I have an idea for the sauce that you'll love.
Oh yeah.
We'll love even more.
6 hot sauces, 2 barbecue sauces right now. Remember, go to facebook.com/Haitian Heat to put in your order today. That is facebook.com/Haitian Heat. Like they said, they really are. It is a process to get a stir up on Amazon, but they are trying.
And also, folks, we're not going to use our normal joke with Frank's Red Hot today. I would like to end with this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you try it once, it'll be part of your condiment rotation for the rest of your life.
I just got a few more new sauces. Or new rotation of sauces. They're incredible.
It's fantastic. All right, so Jesse, I want to be very clear one more time for our fans.
Yes.
This is not moments they've screwed up. Mm-hmm. This is things that coming in, you and I knew about because we're internet guys.
Yeah.
Maybe the national TV audience didn't know about, but they didn't know about 98% of this company. Things that they have brought in, that they have completely just made a complete farce of.
Okay.
Do you want to start at 5? Do you have any honorable mentions?
Oh no, what's on the list is on the list.
Okay. We have a top 5.
AEW top 5 botches. Okay.
Number 5.
Number 5. The initial booking of Miro. How do you get a guy who even I was rooting for very hard in WWE, a world championship caliber wrestler,
easily,
and the first thing you do,
by the way, the example of what the modern day super athlete could be.
Yes. And the first thing you do, not the second, not the third, just to try to see, what kind of gimmick might fit with him. The first is you put him with Kip Sabian. Someone no one cares about.
And
Penelope Ford. I'm not going to call her what you guys usually call her. She's improved enough.
Fair enough.
I'm sure our mutual friend who's a big Penelope Ford fan will like that. I'm not even going to call her names anymore. Nope. It's also because she doesn't matter. She hasn't been on TV. But
exactly. Because if you're not on TV in AEW, they won't talk about you anyway.
Right. So you don't matter.
No.
She's barely in the AHFO anymore.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The first thing you do is you put him with Kip Sabian as the best man. Mm-hmm. and he almost loses to Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
There's no words for that much failing of booking. And then you try to double down on this.
He also debuted him in a pink mini shirt.
Yes.
And by I don't mean mini as in it was tight on him. It was literally Minnie from fucking Disney.
Yeah.
It was literally Minnie Mouse.
And then you try to double down on this by doing
a
wedding.
And said, "Get my wife off your fucking shit."
Right. You did the wedding.
Yep.
And
speaking of weddings, my buddy Guzzo actually recently texted me and said, "Is the wedding of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis the most successful wrestling wedding of all time?"
Probably.
We're gonna have to delve into that one of these days. Wedding bells are in the air for me, especially.
Usually in wrestling, weddings and calamity.
Well, I think the vows were calamity, but overall we ended pretty well. But anyway, back to this.
So number 5 is the debut of Miro.
Oh my God.
Number 4.
All right.
Debuting Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson at the same time. Here's why. It was when Adam Cole comes out after Kenny Omega just wins, right? And it looks like maybe you're starting to, see the beginnings of a war within the Elite. Besides the one we kind of felt was already going on Alpha TV.
No. Didn't feel, we knew.
I was about to say, your eyes could tell you what was happening. You bring him out, which was fine.
Yeah. It should have happened.
But then you brought out Bryan Danielson, one of the biggest baby faces in pro wrestling history.
One of the biggest stars in the history of professional
wrestling. Right, because, what a coup to get both guys.
Yeah. But Danielson should have been the Wednesday.
Right.
Cole should have been Sunday.
Right.
All we would have talked about for 3 days would have been Cole.
Because like I told people...
We didn't talk about Cole.
We didn't talk about Cole for a little after that first Dynamite, because then he started to mention why he was there.
Yeah.
Which we kind of knew why he was there. But, but...
Oh, by the way, quick point of order. Guys who left NXT... Is Kyle O'Reilly not right back to the same goddamn place he was in NXT, if not lower?
I mean, he's just right back in Redragon. I mean, they couldn't call them Redragon in WWE without getting the licensing rights, but yeah, he's just right back with Redragon.
But not only that, but Jesse, they had kind of built him into his own solo self.
Yeah, they tried to.
Well, they tried to. It was somewhat believable to their fans, but maybe not to them. But now it's like...
Cool Kyle was okay for 2 weeks, and then it got really nerdy and stupid.
Yeah, but at least he was getting time on the mic.
True.
Now it's
and he was literally fighting for the NXT Championship.
He was, but now it's just right back in Redragon because we all know Bobby Fish can't have
right back to the tag division.
Because we know that Bobby Fish can't work a singles run without getting hurt.
Unfortunately.
Sorry, Bobby.
So we have that night, because to me that was a botch, because you got the news, you ended all out on an absolute everyone talking about you, overshadowing wrestling for a week. Great job on that. But if you would have brought out Bryan on Wednesday, you could have dominated the talk of wrestling for 2 weeks.
Well, not only that, but let's say, okay, bear with me. I know it's your top 5, but bear with me.
Yeah.
We debut Cole.
Yeah.
What if we went off the air and Excalibur says, can't wait till Wednesday on Dynamite where we'll have another big announcement? Because I think at that point people knew that the American Dragon was there.
We all sensed Bryan was going.
Yeah.
We knew his contract with WWE was done.
Yeah.
And it was either he's going to New Japan full time, or he's probably going to go to AEW and still at some point go work New Japan he wants to do. So
but anyway, no, I think this is more egregious than the fans want to admit, but that's because because this is when the momentum started. And then, like I said, 6 weeks later, they killed it. But
they let it die.
This week period was one of the most fun weeks in a long time, because we actually felt like maybe AEW had the turn of the tide, and they still haven't hit 1 million 4 weeks.
Because here was the thing.
Jesse, what's Raw currently averaging?
1.8.
Really?
It hit 1.7 7 this week. It dropped a little bit.
Really? So,
but it's averaging 1.8 again.
Really? So WWE's averaging 1.8 between both shows. Interesting.
And then SmackDown was right back at 2.3.
Yeah, because Roman Reigns is the best thing in all of wrestling.
We keep saying that, but no one wants to believe it.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's really weird. But once again, everything here at 13 Cards is kind of backed up by facts. But anyway, Jesse.
So, right.
Do you have anything else to say about number 4?
No, I'm done with number 4
okay,
after that. Like I said, one should have debuted after the other.
Yeah. Not on the same night, though.
Right, because like I said, that was a good way for you to really dominate the news.
Now, okay, I have a question. If it had been done reversed, if Bryan Danielson had
come out at All Out,
and
then you have Adam on Dynamite.
No. Just Adam following Bryan on the pay-per-view. Would that have done any better?
Actually, that might have been better because clearly he was going to join the Elite.
Yeah.
So, like, if Adam comes out, or Bryan comes out,
but if Bryan's in the ring when he kicks the head off of, I think it was Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because that was the Kenny Jungle Boy situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but if he kicks the head off of the guy while Bryan's in the ring,
right,
all of a sudden it's a bigger moment. But because it was just the Elite being the Elite,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So. That's number 4.
Also, the pay-per-views, the interviews since that night, Cole, dude, you're so much better than the Bucks at interviews. Why are you even gracing them with your presence?
Like I said, they're good friends. It's I don't know. I don't get it.
Also, the story that Adam Cole called Jay White. Adam Cole and Jay White have not interacted since that first night and yet that was the phone call that Adam Cole made.
Here's the thing.
Also,
they barely interacted when they sent Jay White on an excursion.
Also, when did Jay White, quote unquote, all of a sudden give out his personal number to someone like Adam Cole? And I'm talking your canon AEW. I'm talking about your canon, someone who was kicked out of the group, who at the time he was still in. Well, he's still in it, but
when he was in that one, Jay White wouldn't. He would have just been getting ready to be in Chaos, coming back from excursion.
Right.
So I don't know. Anyway, number 3.
Yeah, number 3.
Number 3.
Where does your boy land? I'm wondering if it's in your top 5.
Oh, Kenny's in the top 5.
No. I'm talking about your other boy, Mr. Hand Grenade. Or does he not make the top 5?
Number 3 is.
Would you like to add an honorable mention on behalf of your boy?
No. Number 3 is that match we talked about earlier between Big Swole and Britt Baker.
Tooth and nail. Okay.
Because you had 2 women who were starting to build themselves. By the way, while you were hurting Hikaru Shida, now if she would have been on the list, she would have been honorable mention.
Okay.
She would have been number 6 because I don't like. You had that woman was carrying your that part of your company through a pandemic. And you barely ever showed her any respect. It was infuriating.
You paid her to literally wave with that toy belt.
She sat in the crowd and I'm like, she's the women's champion and was a credible women's champion.
She was. Because I don't think people realize she's beautiful, she's dangerous, and she actually can whip your ass. She don't need the kendo stick to do it.
But she would have been number 6 because as egregious as that was, she was still women's champion through all that.
Well, I guess you can't really deny the fact that she did have a belt the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And by the way, Kenny, if you're gonna kind of quote unquote run through the division, that's how you build a division when you run through it. Every match she had was very tough and it made you go, man, that woman seems credible. That woman seems credible. I don't want to
tangent away from your top 5, but do you think there's an issue with how they build their champions or build anyone, that they're going competitive with people they just shouldn't be competitive with? I'm not talking about literally someone needs to do the Vince method of a big guy comes in, squashes a little guy 4 times in a row.
Right.
But if Jay White is to be shown as the king, especially to someone like Jim Cornette, and I know that's not the target audience, but to be shown on American soil as the king, does he need to go 20 minutes with Trent, who sadly has been injured for so long and sadly has been made into a job guy?
I think what they should have did is they should have just let him.
Like the champions.
They should have just let him whip Wheeler Yuta's ass, and then that would have sold Jay White like, oh yeah, that's the king. So he just whipped Wheeler Yuta's ass real quick, like he was done with it.
I also think they could have maybe waited a couple of weeks on the Rampage match.
Because I don't feel like talking about the best friends because I'll just get upset. But
that's fair.
God, I love those two guys. What are they still doing there?
Well, to be fair though, Jesse, they actually get more TV time than damn near anybody.
Because I think they're really loved backstage.
Yeah.
But they're great. They're great wrestlers. They're great guys. I don't get it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 3 is that match because it seems like only Britt came out of that strong. Somehow, some way, and that thing that match was a fucking disaster.
Was on
yes.
WWE television.
Yes.
Yeah. Even
though she was ranked number 1 like 3 times for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then of course, unfortunately, she her disease acted up, so she actually had to take time away to get healthy.
Yeah.
Which credit to them, they didn't cut her or anything. They just let her get healthy and come back.
Yeah.
But fuck! Like how does that happen? Anyway, so that's number 3. Number 2, hand grenade. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if hand grenade is there. No. Number 2. You know what? No, number 2. Yeah, you know what? Number 2 is actually easy. You want to know what number 2 is? Why did Sammy Guevara lose the fucking championship for like a week and a half because he had COVID? What the fuck is the point of Sammy Guevara now having 2 titles?
So you actually are putting putting the interim all the way up there.
Yeah, now that I think about it, what was the point of that?
Is your boy Chucky T really not going to make the top 5?
No.
That's fair.
Because to be honest, when I think about it now, they've always treated him like a lower mid-carder, which pisses me off. By the way, it gets under their own fan skin, but I'm like, you're the reason he's not doing better because you won all these matches all the time. So Tony just gives you all these matches all the time, but you constantly complain. Like, you're just never fucking happy, so it doesn't matter. But that's another reason I kind of wish Eric was here because he's a big-time fan of AEW. And like, why are you guys not ever happy as wrestling fans?
This is true.
As great of a booker as you are, Eric, why are you never happy as a fan? Here's the thing.
And by the way, your anger comes from someone who has actually admitted for years, I'm not a wrestling booker, but okay. Let's ignore what the man has told you for 50 years.
I don't get it. But here's the thing. You had Sammy Guevara have an interim championship match with Cody's brother because Cody got COVID. Just freaking wait.
Yeah.
Freaking wait.
Like, here's the deal. When Vince has had moments where he's built something and then it gets botched because something Roman Reigns getting COVID.
Right.
Brock Lesnar. Arguably, this whole unification is based on the fact that Reigns and him didn't have a match at day 1. Arguably.
And I mean, some people think there's some rumor that they were probably still going to do it.
Right.
But basically, they hadn't figured it out because before also what ended up kind of solidifying what they were going to do was Bobby getting hurt.
Yes.
Because once Bobby got hurt, they were like, we were going to kind of go into Mania with Raw with Bobby as the heel champion, but now that he's hurt, he can't compete. But anyway, so here's the thing. Yeah. What a waste of time.
Yeah. And by the way, Sammy's still carrying around 2 belts. I don't know why.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes little to no sense.
So the more I thought about it, that's number 2. Because anyway, number 1, easy, super easy. That fucking that horrible so-called death match. What?
The barbed wire match.
Kenny and Jon Moxley. What? By the way, I love how the AEW stands want to pass over that still. Like, that wasn't one of the worst things of last year.
Well, here's the deal, though. Yes, you can blame the crew, but wait a minute. You're talking about the guys who sat there and said, wait, you want us to do this on an indoor arena? Are you kidding? Our insurance doesn't cover this.
Here's my biggest problem.
You had a football stadium a literal stone's throw away.
Here's my biggest problem, and will always be my biggest problem with this. As you said, and I'm going to yell it, Kenny's not a deathmatch wrestler. He's just not. This was stupid. this didn't need to happen.
Because, by the way, this is the version of Japanese wrestling that New Japan wants nothing to do with.
Because
you think they want nothing to do with Noah? They want nothing to do with this.
Well, I think Onita once said it, because it's
a niche.
Not only is it a niche, but it's so hard to like produce on the level that New Japan produces on now.
Yeah.
That like they're like, yeah, we want no part of that shit. That's why WWE the worst they do is Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Because at least you can produce it around the cage and all that. The buck tooth can still do his 50 cuts per fucking 20 seconds. Like, because you can basically do stuff around the cage, so it's cool. You can leave a couple guys with cameras.
To Kevin Dunn, by
yeah, buck tooth. So anytime I say buck tooth idiot, I'm talking about Kevin Dunn.
Okay. All right.
So like, but. Because wasn't this the same pay-per-view as State? No, that was a different pay-per-view. State of St.
You think they were going to do 2 of these in one pay-per-view? You think Kenny was even going to stand a moment of his artistry being? By the way, the build was bullshit too. Forget the match. The build was arguably, what is happening? Why is it happening? Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, who by the way lost last.
Well, actually lost their championships to Violent by Design.
Why are you guys in a workshop? Why are you all of a sudden handymen? Kenny, no one's ever accused you of knowing how to use a hammer.
This, and by the way, this is when I remember, because we came on the show the next week, and this is when I was like, you know what, you're right. You're right, Seth. This is a dog trick and pony show. This is a dog trick and pony show, and it's terrible. And that's when I was like, I'm officially done with Kenny Omega as a champion. Because I'm like, now he's just going to run through the division. Because the one credible guy is now out the picture.
This, I think, was one of those moments.
And poor Eddie trying to save the damn thing. Just, getting embarrassed because the shit didn't work.
He sold it like death. He went to the Shaq School of Selling.
He did.
And I love you.
I commend him for it. He tried.
Eddie, you are a goddamn fucking genius because you did your job.
Right.
But Eddie, they buried your ass. Under all that smoke, they buried your ass.
Man, if I was John, I'm like, you don't have to sell death, dude. Like, just sell trying to get me up in that you're, like, flustered. Like, that's what I would have did. That's what I'm like, just sell that you're flustered and picking me up. Because clearly this didn't fucking work like it was supposed to.
I actually think, and I'm serious, I think Gilbert Sparklers was actually more of an entrance than what this ending
was.
And they don't even give the smoke that Goldberg has. They have the actual like fire extinguisher.
And to me, the most egregious part of this, as I said on this show, dude, you and your dad own a full fucking football stadium behind Daly's place. Move the crowd in there. You can spread them out because this was during COVID, the height of the pandemic, and simply have the match on the football field. Not that fucking hard to do.
Nope.
Because now...
Oh, by the way.
Because, by the way, that's how Onita and them did it, was in bigger areas where they can put the crowd away.
Well, not to mention the fact, Jesse, like it would have been hard to ask the fans to walk the fucking 100 yards to the fucking stadium that Daly's place is. They would have gone.
It's literally I believe someone said it's literally 2 or 3 different concourses, and it goes right to the seats in the stadium.
Yeah.
Like...
Isn't Daly's place kind of like a place where you hang out after the game? So I mean, people can.
And they actually do have people there during the game too, where they can watch it on the big screen or whatever that's there.
Yeah.
So it's a cool little thing Shad did for the fans there.
It's a way to get more revenue during the game.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So by the way, which they don't have sellouts anyway, so it's not gonna matter. The fucking Jaguars are terrible.
There's a rumor they want to trade Trevor Lawrence already, and Trevor's got to be like, I hope my agent picks this up.
I would hope not, because you just got him a viable coach. Anyway, that's a different... what kind of terrible-ass franchise trades a kid who literally had to go through that last year and still wants to actually be there?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, but yeah, I would have just went to Daddy.
Yeah.
Hey, I think I need to use the stadium for my main event.
Folks, this was the off-season. If you burn the grass,
right,
you could fix it by training camp.
Because this was like June or something. So you could literally be like,
Training camp. First of all, they don't do training camp on the actual field.
No, they do it. I'm pretty sure they do it near Florida University.
Right.
So like,
right. So you would have had months to fix the grass.
Right.
But like you said, I think what people don't understand was that they didn't explain the history of this match beforehand, and which
they try to when they put in the video with Onita and stuff.
Well, but here's the deal. Onita wasn't enough to sell what he used to do,
right?
Because Jessie, but again, this is actually them being more self-aware than anyone else. Because I've given them self-awareness from day one.
Right.
The Bucks don't show you this because they know that they're
right.
this. Kenny didn't want to show you what Onita did because he knows I can't get to that level, even if it comes off the way that I want it to come off. But this match arguably is one of the most egregious things done on American television. And at least when Paul Lee fucked it up in ECW, they came out and did two things. One, they apologized.
Right.
Two, we'll never attempt it again.
Right.
Here, it's not like they've never said we won't.
Right.
But they've also had not apologized for the fact that, dude, it was shit.
The only person who actually apologized was Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Who, by the way, was the guy who was supposed to be selling death.
By the way, well, at that point, I wouldn't have sold death either because clearly...
I would have said, take me out on a stretcher. Why? Because I don't want to be a part of this.
And by the way, I always say wrestling is subjective, so I get if people maybe feel that way somehow, some way, but I don't understand why. But the thought of this match was actually pretty good before the ending. I'm like, it was sloppy. Kenny's not a deathmatch wrestler.
Yeah.
John came from that background, so he understands it.
Yeah.
But Kenny's never done that before. So that's number one far and away, because it's almost to me the only thing that would have been worse than this match was if Orange Cassidy would have won the world title
off of Chris Jericho. Jesse, it's kind of funny, but you had such a long list to go through. The Mimosa match.
Well, here was the thing. I actually liked that one.
You actually didn't hate that.
No, I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
didn't hate that. But I think
I've watched WWE for so long, like as far as Americanized wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've watched WWE and Impact and stuff like that in Lucha Underground for so long that I thought that was entertaining.
Right, exactly. Now, what's really interesting to me is I think you've left out, not to change your list will be up at the end of the show. I think you've left out the most important thing, which is you have failed to just admit you are doing wrestling that three people knew how to do. Paul Heyman,
True.
Eric Bischoff, and Vince McMahon.
By the way,
which, by the way, all three of them are sports entertainment guys. You didn't book Jim Herd. You didn't book Crockett Promotion.
Right.
You didn't book Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Right.
You didn't book all these. You didn't book even what Inoki used to do.
By the way, Billy is actually doing that in BJ.
Yes. But my point is this, and you know what? This will go into another thing, and we'll get off AEW because we have much more to get to. Jesse would like to try to get me back this week. He and Leroy had but Jesse, this is the one thing you and I have asked for almost a year and a half on the show.
Yeah.
Almost since you've been on the show, because you finally came around halfway through the show. Just say you're sports entertainment.
Right.
It's not that fun. It's a simple fucking sentence. Just say who you are. Just say sports entertainment. Just do it. We don't care. We will give you more credit then. But the fact that I've got people that I love and care about who love wrestling, the fact that I got people that I know who know wrestling saying this is what wrestling should be. This. And I'm sitting here like, Ilya Dragunov and Walter had two absolute matches that would have burned the barns down of any town in any country, in any continent from the fucking dawn of wrestling.
Coming from the people you hate so much, by the way. And all we've ever said is, like, I get if you don't like Raw and SmackDown right now.
But NXT.
Watch NXT and NXT UK. You will get your fill. Because it's there. Watch Main Event because they give them freedom. You'll get your fill of excellent wrestling in WWE. And you know what? And that was another great part of that interview. Because like he jokingly said, but he said it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He's like, if my dad knew what I was going to try to do with his company, he would have never sold it to me.
Yep.
But he's like.
But his dad was also much like the Sheik.
Right. He was more of a territory guy back in the day.
What they didn't understand was that there was a shelf life to what they did.
Right.
Now, is there a shelf life to what Vince is doing? We don't know because they have contracts for years to come. And by the way, if USA or Fox gives up,
and to be fair, he's changed up their style so much in the last 25 years.
Yes.
That they have a shelf life because he's also consistent. He's consistently. The one thing about WWE is even if you don't like the change, they will consistently mold.
Now, to move on to another thing, yes, the only woman that has made Jessie simp live on camera was not on the show this week. But Jessie, NXT 2.0 had a good week.
Yeah.
And it proves once again, Carmelo Hayes is going to be a star somewhere someday.
Listen, I don't know how. To me, like I said, Braun Breaker will be the bucktooth idiot, the slow speaking idiot, and the guy who couldn't wrestle's biggest test, I think, to Vince McMahon. Because if Braun Breaker fails,
it's not on Braun
the
Breaker.
Main roster. That's not on Braun Breaker.
No.
Because this was their call.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah.
It was a good show.
It was a great show.
And by the way, what a way to open with the biggest thing you've got going on right now.
By the way, they were like, usually we don't like to do sex sells, but fuck it. It did so well last week. We're going to sell Nikita not only on the butt whipping she gave, but on the pin. It's just smart. And I know some people were like, they're sexualizing her. I'm like, bro, you know what? If it gets more 18 to 35-year-olds to watch NXT, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, right?
I'm not going to tell her to do it every week.
No.
But I'm like, hey, work on that a little bit. Like, you want to kind of sell that in your matches and stuff? Do it. Because it's selling.
Why the fuck wouldn't you do it? I mean,
it's making money.
Well, not to mention the fact she was arguably the most talked about thing in wrestling for the week leading up. Now, to the rest of this show. Pete Dunne is a star. I know why he is where he is because Pete Dunne realizes something. If I go to AEW, what I do will not make sense to their audience.
No.
Pete Dunne is well aware of that.
Right.
Your boy Tony got a nice little vignette in. He's still great to me. They didn't have your boy Andre this week. I know you were disappointed. Oh, they did?
Remember, he lost to Von Wagner.
Oh, that's right, the Von Wagner match.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I had it on the side. Elden Ring has taken up much of my time. I have no problem in admitting that Elden Ring has taken a lot of my time.
Andre, by the way,
Andre changed. But Jesse,
he's so damn funny.
But Jesse, going back to what we're going to delve into later on, different show. Andre Chase is the example of a guy who got a gimmick and said, "Fuck it, I know I'm not going to win a belt, but I'm going to make this work."
And it was a gimmick when I first saw it. I'm like, what is this pitiful bullshit?
But now
I love it.
You want the sweater?
I want the sweater. I want the flag.
Jesse wants our future studio to just be
Andre Chase you. It's going to be all that.
You want to turn the entire wall into a college dorm room of just Andre Chase University.
With the banner that says, now this is a teachable moment.
Yes. By the way, we couldn't do that. But no, this show was great.
Yeah.
The women's Dusty Cup. Cora Jade, oddly enough, did great with Raquel.
Yeah.
I say oddly enough because they really haven't tagged a lot on television.
No.
But they had a great match.
I do like the build. I know some people haven't liked it, but I do like you have to build this chemistry because all they've done before this is be opponents.
By the way, folks, the freaking commercials they're doing with Boogs and Nakamura, those are funny regardless of what you want. They're just funny.
That's just a great way to sell a truck.
I just love the fact that like Boogs brings this giant sandwich and like they built a giant fucking sandwich for a fucking commercial.
Oh yeah.
And then the crew probably had it for lunch, but
they were just like, wait. They were like, we're gonna feed you with this, but we're gonna use it.
We're using the thing, yeah.
Let's do this, guys.
And by the way, Jesse, I think it's a good time to mention next week. I want you to explain why, in reality, Nakamura's not angry with what's going on.
Okay.
Because I think he's having fun. He looks like he's having fun.
Right.
He seems like he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
And also, he had reached such a peak in New Japan that the personality was not going to allow to be shown by New Japan because they just didn't do
right.
So next week you're going to explain, much like you had to explain why Kushida is not being bitched out.
Right.
Because let's be honest, you've explained Kushida was never going anywhere else. They were happy with where he was.
Right.
He was not.
He understood. I got to go elsewhere.
But Nakamura had reached success. The problem is, I think Nakamura knows who he is. There's a limit to what Japan will allow him to do.
And he's also getting up there in age. It's like I said, the rumors
sound
like
he's last 10 years in WWE after having 10 years in New Japan. Vince will make sure it works.
He can last 15 with what they do with him in WWE.
But yeah. So next week, once again, I will need you to help explain why WWE is not taking Nakamura and making him less of what he was. They're making him more of what he is now.
Right.
And that seems fair.
Okay.
But back to the show. The Women's Dusty Cup, I think, is looking good. There's a lot of good tag.
Man, it looks like a
Dakota Kai makes me love women's wrestling. And so does your Jessie, Wendy Chu.
Wendy
Chu, man. I got Wendy Chu, Jessie.
Susie Key, I think, used to be her name in Impact. Like I said, when I first...
She took this and she's enjoying this.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell me she's not.
When I first saw that she was going to be coming in as this kind of dark... When she was first signed, I was like, okay, well, that's a hell of a signing.
Yeah.
Especially, because people didn't really watch Impact, so most people didn't know her. But I'm like, I know Susie Q. And then,
love yourself some Susie Q.
Plus, I just have a thing for Asian women. I just do.
Yes, you do.
And so when they signed her, I went, this is a good signing. We'll see what happens. Because then they started to announce NXT 2.0. They basically ended the whole... It's funny because Xia Li still has the music, but they basically ended like the whole...
Well, Boa's now got the magic.
Yeah. But his music changed, but they gave Xia Li the old music. It's confusing. But, by the way, she's looked great on SmackDown. She's looked wonderful.
And by the way, for those of you wondering... This is how you introduce someone. Slow and steady.
Right.
She doesn't need again, Jessie, in my opinion, and nothing against Xia Li, but because she came from China, which really didn't have much of a program at the time, they are hiding what flaws she may have, and they're accentuating what she can do.
And she's becoming a better speaker. So,
yes.
I mean, we're getting there.
And she actually looks fantastic.
In the ring, to me, it's not even a question that she's going to be great. But yeah, when I was watching this tag match, my first thought
I love Dakota Kai.
My first thought wasn't even Wendy Chu. My first thought was you and Dakota Kai because I went, man, Zach's got to be loving this.
She's so good.
I know.
She makes you love women's wrestling.
she's
I know.
Great.
I know a bunch of guys in the PWL are kind of like, well, what are they doing with her? Guys, there's layers to Dakota Kai, and she's showing you that she can be as good, if not better, doing the layers than anything else.
Right.
But now we got to get to this, Jessie. It hurt. It hurt to watch. It hurt to be a part of. Solo Sequoia, what were you doing, bro? Because you fell like a tree.
Dude, I told people, I'm like,
and by the
this
way,
is going to be a physical-ass match.
Gunther has listened to what Vince says about his main roster people. Get in better shape.
Yeah.
And he's dropped a lot of weight since
he got more muscular, you know. Here's the thing.
What a way to end
the
undefeated streak of somebody, which, by the way, I think a lot of people forgot he was undefeated.
Yeah.
But, Jessie, there's no shame in losing it like that.
Not to that guy.
You lost to Gunther.
No, I know some people don't like the Gunther name change. Like I said, I'm okay with it.
He also said yes to it, so it's not like you guys can get mad at him. Or get mad at Vince.
Because he literally could have stayed at NXT UK.
Yeah.
Let his contract go and then been fine. But,
he clearly wants to make this work.
He wants to make this work.
He wants to see this out.
So,
but this hurt.
I told people, I'm like, somebody's gonna maybe get physically knocked out in this match. I feel so bad for Solo Sequoia because here's the thing: he can't get away that he looks just like his brothers.
Yeah,
he looks just like his brothers.
He does.
So he gets the Uso chants all the time. Yep. I don't even know if you keep him in NXT for too much longer.
Yeah.
Maybe you put him in the bloodline because he looks so much like his brothers. It hurts.
He does. And all it would take would be a reverse Cody dye job and the hair would match on him.
And then it's just the Uso trio.
But there's no denying that he's good and he can go.
He's actually a good wrestler,
yes.
No,
he's actually
but he comes from that family, so they've trained him, I'm sure of it.
Right.
So, yeah, I told everyone, I'm like, dude, this match ain't going to be for the weak of heart.
Now, we used to do this a lot. Mm-hmm. We've gotten back to mostly just news and everything.
Right.
By the way, we're gonna end this with watch 2.0. And by the way, much like the NFL and their anthem thing, you're watching. Just admit you're watching. Stop acting like you don't watch. But anyway, Jessie, there was a question asked on the internet recently, and there was debate that came out of it that no one really expected.
Right.
I have a question for you. Number one, who is your greatest high flyer of all time? You have a very deep knowledge of the Super Juniors, by the way.
I also have a deep knowledge of Mexican wrestlers. Wow.
I'm going with Rey Mysterio Jr. because I think Rey took a style
and
he made America care.
Right.
where I don't think any luchador, and again, one of these days we'll do our top 5 luchadors, but I don't think any luchador, I don't think any luchador but Rey could have done what Rey did for Lucha.
I must say, before him though, Tiger Mask.
That's fair.
Woo.
That's fair.
Tiger Mask was special.
Mr. British Bulldog himself.
Yeah. Davey Boy Smith. Here's the thing, but Tiger Mask was so special.
Yeah.
As a high flying wrestler, I mean, there's also they just did the Dark Side of the Ring about him last year. Oh boy, why am I forgetting his name? The kid, Canadian.
Yeah.
I forget.
From the British Bulldogs?
Excuse me. Wow. But yeah, between him
Dynamite
and
Kid.
Thank you.
Dynamite Kid.
I'm like, why am I forgetting his name?
Right. Yeah.
So, but between him,
well, but to be fair,
it's Tiger Mask.
You've got how many Super Juniors in your head right now?
Hiroshima.
Misawa, I think, was in that.
Well, Misawa was a heavyweight who could fly, though.
Right, okay.
Misawa was a heavyweight who could go.
Jushin Thunder Liger?
Man! He could probably still go today if he wanted to. He just smartly was like, my body's healthy, I'm stepping away. Like, I got grandbabies now, like, I'm stepping away.
Who is, in your opinion, of the masked men, and yes, there weren't a lot of masks later in his career,
right.
but he's still going. Who do you got, Jushin or do you got Muta?
Muta.
Okay.
Muta's impact.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at a different day.
It was
but
so
right
good,
now,
but
no.
Muta.
So now, you've got, who was your official?
Tiger Mask.
Okay.
Tiger Mask.
Now, I've got Ray Jr. That'd be a match to see in their primes. That'd be a match to see in their primes.
I actually think, and I would have to look this up. Not having Leroy here kind of stinks because running this and looking it up stinks.
Was it the original Tiger Mask you were referring to?
All 3 iterations of Tiger Mask. Because the original was amazing. The second guy was actually better than the first guy, to me.
Yeah.
To me. By the way, watching that grainy footage is kind of, it's insane because like the sound is really rough on it.
Yeah.
But like just watching him move and you know that the video is slower.
Yeah.
You're like, how fast was that in person?
Yeah.
Like, how quickly did this guy move?
The question that came out of this that I would like to ask you.
Right.
Do you consider the late, great Eduardo Guerrero a high flyer? I'm going to say no. And here's why.
Okay.
Despite what the lucha style is, despite what it's been known for, the first wrestling family of Mexico are the Guerreros, but they were more catch-style wrestling, or at least Gory was.
Gory was. I mean, they were more of a technical family.
Yeah. Technical, I guess, is what I'm going for.
That's a tough one.
Because again, you lit up when I mentioned the name the other day. Chavo Classic needs to have a little bit more of a history lesson. Unless
people know about CMLL in the Mexican history,
it's
you don't know too much about him, which is sad.
By the way, to finish up our REW later, Tony, you couldn't have texted a man known as Chavo Guerrero.
Let's get into that real quick.
Sorry, Eddie, we got to talk about your nephew for a second.
And Eddie, we're going to come back to you Hall of Fame legend that I hope to see in wrestling heaven.
Yes.
Vince McMahon is so damn bad, right?
Yeah.
At least Vince will call or have one of the idiots call somebody and be like, we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
To quote Johnny, you didn't even use your catchphrase, but you still spoke to Johnny Ace. You didn't use his catchphrase. But at least someone spoke to you.
Did you not return his calls? He's Chavo Guerrero. He didn't have to waste his time coming there.
No. Chavo was a producer in Lucha Underground. He could go to CMLL right now. He could go to AAA. Chavo's name carries... By the way, in Mexico, the Guerrero name still carries a lot.
All the weight in the world.
Yep.
That's why when Vicky, was originally just went back to being a nurse and all that, people were shocked.
Yeah.
Because they were like, man, you didn't go back to... you didn't go back to Eddie's home and maybe go, because her daughter at the time was starting to work wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, they are actually shocked. Like, I'm shocked you're not going to CMLL or AAA because your family, the family name carries so much weight. People respect Vicky.
She was another matriarch of that family.
Right. And and people have a lot of, like me, a lot of love and respect for her. as a mother, as a widower who's
and she made a career for herself outside of Eddie passing. That's impressive.
And was also insanely supportive of her daughter.
Yes.
Especially after watching everything Eddie went through.
Yeah.
So, man, you don't even give this man a call back.
Yeah.
But Vince is worse. I just want to put that out there to people. Vince is worse because and like he said in the interview, people don't understand there's a business side to it. I might like a guy, but if I feel business-wise they don't fit.
It literally throws all Dave Meltzer's bullshit out the window. It does.
Well, and then, of course, the haters themselves were I'm like, but guys, he just told you. Like, I might like a guy.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance I bring a guy or a gal that I let go back.
That's the part nobody ever wants to
admit.
Right. You could always come back and work, but maybe the talent pool gets a little bit shorter.
And he was saying, like, maybe at the time it doesn't fit, so we let you go, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to reopen my door. Like he said, people didn't think I was ever going to work with Hogan again. He's like, I personally didn't think so.
Hogan, we talked about it last week of the show. We never thought
Bret Hart was coming back.
We didn't think Bret would take a phone call from your ass, let alone be in the same room with your ass.
He got into the Hall of Fame. They did that terrible match at Mania. But like I said, when I saw Bret come back, I went, Vince will bring anyone back.
Anyone will come back.
Anyone will come back.
Anyone will come back.
So, all I want to put out there for the AEW stands is, as much as you might hate Vince, that's bullshit.
Yep.
Somebody's got to give Chavo a call.
Who reported it? Chavo himself.
Yes.
So that's not secondhand from Sean Ross. That's not secondhand from Dave. That came out of fucking Chavo Jr.'s
This
mouth.
is the only time I'll be fair to SRS because he heard the story, and when he heard about it, he's like, that's a big negative against Tony Khan.
Yeah.
If you're not going to bring him back, fine, but he gets a phone call.
Yeah.
Dave, of course, silent. But yeah, which, by the way, that's, like I said last year, that's why I'm done with Dave Meltzer. He's become a clown.
Has anyone checked Dave's bank account to see where the where the payments are
Chavo Guerrero doesn't get a fucking call?
Chavo Guerrero Jr. does not get a phone call.
If I'm Andrade, I'd be like, why did I sign here?
Yeah.
Chavo can't get a call? That was my guy to help me. That's who I brought in.
Yeah.
And he can't get a call. And they might have told him why they weren't going to bring him back, but I'd be like, all right, well, give him a call at least.
Yeah.
Give him a call. The moment I would have heard he wouldn't have gotten a call, I'd be like, why do I work for you? Like, that man's a legend in this business. You don't disrespect Chavo Guerrero Jr.
And that's the thing people don't get. Chavo was, because of the age difference, because of the family, never got the shine that Eddie got. But Chavo Guerrero Jr. was by the way, made the Cruiserweight division.
He actually helped the Cruiserweight division in such a way. And here's the thing. What happened to him in WCW was just because the talent pool in that Cruiserweight division was insane.
Oh, God.
Him, Eddie, Ray, Raven.
And by the way,
Billy Kidney. I can go on and on. Dean Malenko.
I can't think of your name in the PWL right now because you don't deserve to be mentioned. Rey Mysterio Jr. never had a classic match.
That's garbage.
Rey Mysterio Jr. has never had a classic match.
If you guys see that comment in a forum you're in, you simply go to the admin and you go, I get people can voice their opinions, but this person should never be allowed to talk pro wrestling ever again. I'm not even having a discussion with you. We're good. I'm not even having a discussion with you. He's never had a classic match. Batista, The Undertaker.
Him and Eddie at WrestleMania 21 opening the show. Good luck following that, by the way, because it took a few matches. Halloween Havoc. Halloween Havoc.
How
if you've seen that match once, you've seen that match 100 times because you can. Okay. It's like More Than a Feeling by Boston. Every
right.
time you listen to it, there's something new.
Something new you hear in the production.
So many layers to the song. But Halloween Havoc has so many layers to it. But yeah, we're not having this conversation. But no, was Eddie a high flyer?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, I'm gonna go with yes.
So we disagree on that.
Okay. He was a hybrid wrestler to me. He was that's besides Montez Ford nowadays.
Yeah.
Remember that was and Rob Van Dam.
And by the way,
that was the most famous frog splash of all time.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, I guarantee you, Randy just goes with the fact of shit happens. It's not adrenaline happens. It's not Montez's fault. I'm sure Randy.
Apparently, there was right afterwards. There was no heat. Apparently, the rumor is Randy literally because Montez was apologetic. Randy was only mad at the fact that they actually like stopped to check on him.
Right, exactly.
Because they were like, because he was apparently the story was like he was like, dude, shit happens. He's like, I knew you were coming. I should have moved back more.
But at least finish the spot.
Right, like, finish the damn pin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, finish the pin, celebrate, talk to me when we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the only thing him and Vince were upset about. Because Montez was just like, oh, shit, this is Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Anybody else here, they'd be like, I'll talk to him backstage.
But at the same time, Randy's been around long enough.
Right.
Not to mention, like, Randy's had moments where shit's happened.
Right.
Randy's career is not
and
flawless.
and clearly, you know, apparently the story clearly was, like, he was just like, guys, not a big deal.
Yeah.
I was in the wrong spot. It's actually not even on you.
Yeah.
So, like, they moved on. They're done with it.
Yeah. But,
and we'll see if he's still hurt coming into Mania.
But you've got so you've got Eddie as a high flyer.
I do.
I don't, and here's why.
Okay.
There is not enough airtime on any show to talk as much about Eddie Guerrero as I want to.
Right.
Because there was nothing Eddie couldn't do.
Right.
Iteration of Tiger Mask, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Eddie Guerrero was the guy.
That's why I said all versions have been great.
Yes. From his family,
right.
They said, when you train a wrestler and you say, okay, arm goes here,
right.
You show it to Eddie once, he's putting that thing on like a damn... There was nothing he couldn't do.
Right.
But when I saw Eddie is the guy that makes me think of technical wrestling, and here's why.
Yeah.
The flying over the top rope shoulder senton that he did to me is not high flying because it's not going to the top rope, it's using the top rope as a
right.
The frog splash, clearly a high flying move, not gonna take away from it. But Art was better because Art really did look like a frog. Art, beautiful frog.
That's true, yeah. People forget about that.
Eddie Guerrero and Dynamite Kid in his prime, folks, we wouldn't have wanted another match on the card. I don't care if it was for a non-title. You can't go on after that, Jesse.
Like you almost have to. You almost make the main event. Because it's hard to follow now a whole show if they go first.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be like, man, that match wasn't as good as that one.
Eddie Guerrero was as close to flawless as I've ever seen in the ring.
Like I said, he was. And God rest his soul.
Even when there was a botch, Eddie somehow made a move out of it.
Like Eddie was so good that. I could call out, like, if I got into a room with people to dissect tape on Peacock, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, you find the botch in an Eddie match. And I'm like, I'll find it, but you won't believe me when I find it.
Exactly.
Because he was that good.
Exactly.
Or, like, he called a spot in the ring, like, oh, I'll show you where he did it.
Yeah.
But he was so good, you don't know where he did it. Like, he was so fluid. Chris Benoit was another guy who was just so damn fluid that you were like, him and Sean called that match on Raw in the ring? Yeah. But you're talking about two of the best workers of all time.
But my point is that, to me, when I think of Eddie, I think of somebody who made wrestling real.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing gimmicky about Eddie Guerrero. Eddie was as Eddie got.
I mean, if you're a Brock Lesnar fan, you know, like, one of the things he said about Eddie that he loved the most was every time he got into a ring with him before they did a story on SmackDown or anything, he's like, every week he was like, he must have maybe got annoyed with me because every week I had to pick his brain about something because he just had so much knowledge. But he was like, Eddie was always just smiling. He was like, yes, come talk to me. It's fine.
I see Eddie as someone that he could high fly. Not saying he could.
Yeah.
We knew that. But when I saw Eddie, that's what I think Jim Cornette wanted wrestling to become, was what Eddie did.
That hybrid style.
Yes.
Which, by the way, he got close with the original TNA.
Yeah.
He got really close.
Jesse, all right. I can't believe I'm going to do this to you.
Uh-oh.
I got a top 5 for you next week.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I have to do this for you. Top 5 truly dream matches you wanted to see Eddie Guerrero have. And Jesse, I don't care if it's Karl Gotch.
Okay.
I don't care if it's Volter. You pick your top 5. Any wrestler that's ever existed versus Eddie Guerrero. I don't care.
Okay.
And by the way, all three of us are going to do this top 5 at some point.
Okay.
We're going to start with you.
Okay.
Now. So
I'm about to say I got Eddie and Ray. That's on tape, so I'm good.
Yeah. Matches that he didn't have.
Gotcha.
Now, folks, you want an experience like you've never had? You want an experience that is like no other? Jesse, where is that experience?
That experience is at Dark Arts Entertainment. And Dark Arts Entertainment presents live pro wrestling monthly at the Super Beast Training Compound located in the Art District of Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. A hybrid of pro wrestling with an underground feel. Dark Arts Entertainment shows also include live bands, sideshow entertainment, which sometimes is either clowns or they like to have the fire shows and stuff like that. Food, beer, and more. And as always, Dark Arts Entertainment is 420 friendly. So hey, guess what? Not only can you have your beer and your food and your wrestling and some clown show, smoke a little herb while you're there. Come see top talent and matchups you won't find in any other promotion in Vegas, which is true because they have a pipeline of guys that sometimes either come from Cali or even sometimes south down there in Arizona, where there's like a lot of great wrestling talent.
Yeah.
For more information or to get tickets, head over to darkartsvegas.com or grab our official mobile app. Sometimes it's down. Just have patience. They do get it back up when they can. I can tell you there are a lot of big-time events coming up. They kind of have some pre-dates on them. Like I said, there's 2 I'm eyeing for the summer. One I would like to get you and your future wife in to come see because it sounds like Funny Bone's about to have a match with a big-time guy from California.
Right, there you go.
But yeah, by the way, because Funny Bone is a guy who I still haven't seen, you guys have, and apparently he's incredible, and I can't wait to see him.
He's fantastic. And by the way, any room that he walks into, he's over with the kids. He's over with the kids.
Which is great.
Which is
always great. So make sure you go to darkartsvegas.com, find your tickets, find a show you can get to, because listen, if you're gonna go to Sin City and gamble, before you lose all your money, go catch a great show, man. Go catch a great show.
Now, Jesse, Allison had a great week in wrestling.
Yes.
You want to know why? Her boys, the guy who got her into wrestling.
And when she has a great week, you have a better week.
I do. The guy who got her into wrestling. Is the new Intercontinental Champion.
Yes.
And the guy that she can't help but watch the screen every time that music hits is the new U.S. Champion.
Yes.
Jesse, they had plans for them. If you just give it time.
The only one I was shocked about this week, people would think, well, I would say Ricochet. But remember, I had said last week, I'm like, the rumor is they actually have interest in finally pushing him because they need.
Starts with the Intercontinental.
Right, and they need to build new top baby faces. Because right now on SmackDown, Drew really is the only viable guy they have.
Yeah, exactly.
They got it because they're going to have to rebuild. When Xavier comes back, they're going to have to kind of rebuild Big E.
Yeah.
But Finn Balor becoming U.S. champion.
When it happened, I've got video I got to show you. Allison didn't know what to do with herself.
I was shocked.
I think everybody was.
I'm like, they're going to have a great match. Maybe Finn gets a rematch at Mania because that seems like a good feud.
Well, because remember, you reported they had plans for Finn at Mania even though he wasn't in the Rumble.
Right.
But remember, Jesse, it's really hard to get time off this time of year. So the fact that Finn got that to go all the way back home, that's impressive.
Right.
So, folks, he wasn't in the Rumble.
Right.
Oh, well. But by the way, the internet can once again shut up. It's not Sammy versus Knoxville for the title. It's just going to be Sammy versus Knoxville.
Which
will be great in my opinion because Sammy's great.
Right.
Sammy's great.
Well, and my first thought when we saw Sammy and Knoxville kind of going, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be for the championship. So I think at some point pretty soon Sammy's going to lose this thing.
Right.
Which is fine.
And then all of a sudden there's a match Ricochet versus Sammy and you're like, oh boy.
Right. And plus now you can kind of do an Intercontinental title match maybe with Ricochet like an Apollo Crews on the pre-show.
Yeah.
And that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a good time.
First of all.
But once again, Ricochet doesn't complain on Twitter. He doesn't make rumblings backstage. He just accepts where they're going and he says, I've had a good first year, but I'm not done.
Here's the thing. By the way, NXT North American champion, U.S. champion, and not Intercontinental champ.
The only person to ever win every mid-card title that WWE has had active.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I never thought they ever lost their belief, but I was worried that 2 other guys who weren't Vince were never going to allow Vince to see that they have a potential super babyface star.
Yes.
It's now that Bryan Danielson left with Ricochet.
Yes.
And I said with all the movement,
which also proves to me that Ricochet's probably not going anywhere anytime soon in WWE, because they're going to make him substantially decent offers to keep him around.
One, he's just a highlight reel in a match.
He is.
I have yet to see him have a bad match. And then on top of everything, the big thing that starts to get Vince to put you over is when you get over with the kids. Because that's their audience.
Speaking of which, good transition. We are going to promote this. It should be noted. Please go out and get your own version of -1 with his father at AEW Toy Collectibles. Please do that, because that's a big move, guys.
Listen, AEW, the one thing, like I said, I could never